All right, hey people. Today is October 5th, 2024. It's about 3 a.m. in the morning. My name is Chris Lucas. This is my show, The Protestant View. You know, I've been interacting with a few people in comment sections of various videos um and the thing that occurs to me, and it's not even just comment sections, dude, it's the entire world. It's just how much people love delusion, and they just simply don't care. And I got this little thing I just wrote a little bit ago. I just want to read just a tiny bit of it. Um, so and basically it's this: God tests people. If people fail the test, they will get a lot of trash they wanted instead of getting the treasures that God wanted to give them. But in their blindness, they will think the trash is treasure and think because they are on top of the garbage heap that they are something great. And it always amazes me how much people love a worthless delusion. Because and part of the thought process behind that is I see people that, they go to a church and they go, oh, now I'm liked and I feel like everyone likes me, or it's like some social club for them, and it's like their focus is not really on truth and God. It's like, oh, I got this group, and now I start to feel like something. I start to feel like I belong, and they just like to think they got truth and think they got security and think they're believing the right things and they're getting pats on the back, and it's like, I don't think these people, I don't think they really care about truth, basically. And if you notice in my thumbnail that I created today, probably I'll bring it up real quick. Um, just kind of want to put this thumbnail up on my screen for a second. Because I just want to share just a few thoughts I had while I was making this. Sorry, I kind of look around. So in this thumbnail, because to me, this is the whole world in a nutshell. Um, because I lost my sister because a bunch of people are delusional. Because in this image, I put a pope in there. I put the Vatican audience hall in there, a serpent's head, so you could see the similarities. Um, and then I have this quote from Donald Trump where he says, "You would not have this beautiful vaccine if it was not for me, what I forced the FDA to do," dash Trump, right? And then, I created this picture right here of a bunch of people worshiping the needle, and I put Trump's name in it, right? And then you can see these people worshiping a golden statue of Trump. Now, folks that might not know me, no, just because I'm pointing out that Trump's a horrible president does not mean I'm a Democrat. I'm a diehard, I'm very much Republican. The problem is, I see that these people are not really Republicans. They're really fake. They're fake Christians. All of them, everyone in this picture, including people in the Orthodox Church. They're all a bunch of fake people. Um, right. And then you see the same thing in other cults too, where it's like the people, they can't handle truth. And so what they want to do is they just want to censor you instead of listening to you. And that's kind of why I even provoked this whole stream today, because I go to this channel. I had no idea this guy is Orthodox. I mean, I guess he is. I mean, I didn't know he was, but now I'm starting to think he is because he had Sam Shamoon on his show. I think I was watching JP Uncut or something, and then um, maybe it was him that suggested this guy was doing a live stream, and everyone went over there. And so I'm not really sure why that got suggested, because this was like a week or two ago, so I can't remember. So I just go over there and start watching a live stream because I'm at work wanting to watch something live. Because I get kind of, I don't know, I get kind of just bored just listening to all this other stuff, just something different, right? And anyway, so I noticed this one Orthodox guy that I have an issue with. He was happy to help him out, and I just thought I'd warn him because, right, like, I don't know anything going on, but I do know this one Orthodox guy is a scumbag because basically, a few months ago, I had no idea much about the Orthodox religion, so I'm pretty much friendly with them because I don't know nothing about them, right? So I don't judge them. Um, and I really had no idea that they're basically Roman Catholic, but they just don't want to admit it, right? It's kind of like what the what the Catholics and Orthodox accuse Protestants of being. It's like the Protestants to me are that thing to the Catholic Church, where it's like you guys just don't want to acknowledge apostolic authority, and I feel like that's kind of what they don't want to acknowledge the Pope's apostolic authority, so they want to make up their own delusional version of it and claim that they got apostolic authority or apostolic succession, whatever it is. But and all this to me ties into everything going on in the world. But anyway, um, so anyway, this one guy, he has this channel called "I'm Not What I'm Not," and I was one of his first subscribers because I thought he did say some interesting things at first. Well, it wasn't so much interesting. It's just like I saw people attacking him, but I thought he made some good points, and I was like, hey man, if you ever get it, why don't you start up a channel? You know. So I even suggested that to him before he had a channel, and this is all true, right? Um, and then I go subscribe to him. So I'm one of his first two subscribers. I'm not sure if I was his first subscriber or his second subscriber. I'm one of the first two subscribers. And while he's doing shows, he's sitting there sometimes getting frustrated, and like, man, no one's hardly listening. I think I want to stop. And I'm like, nah, man, I'm here, and you just got to keep, you gotta go, keep trying to, just keep doing it, man. And I'm trying to be encouraging to him, right? Next thing I know, one day he gets 10 subscribers, then he gets 50, then 100, and then once he gets a couple of hundred, now he's got a few Catholics and Orthodox in his chat. And now all of a sudden, it's like, oh, you're a piece of crap. What? It's like I never said anything bad to him the whole time. He just one day turns on me. And what I think it is his chat, because he saw the little name, the Protestant View, and they saw that word Protestant, and they're like, "Arr, there's Protestant in that name, and we hate Protestant." And it's like, what in the world? Well, I mean, like, I had no idea these people couldn't handle having a conversation. Like, I thought that's what his channel was about, because that's how I saw him. He was interacting in other people's channel, and it looks like he wants them to be open with dialogue. So I'm thinking, oh, you're going to behave the same way, and he doesn't. He wants to be very controlling, and he wants to take and ban people that disagree with him the slightest bit. And what got me upset was there's some Catholics and some Orthodox that said something about, I think it started out with them saying something about the Lord's Day. And I was like, well, there's not one verse in the Bible that calls Sunday the Lord's Day. And they go, oh, yeah, there is. And they get mad. I'm like, well, just calm down. Show me the verse, you know? And they go, Revelation 1:10 go read Revelation 1:10. And I'm like, okay, where's the word first day or Sunday in there? And then they tell me, oh, it's the word Hemera. I'm like, no, that's the word day. That doesn't say which day it is, right? And so they're like, well, that's definitely it's Sunday is the Lord's day, and that's what it says. And I'm like, well, you got to pull up a verse so I can see this. So then they cite Acts 20 verse 7, and I go, that's them having a Havdalah meal. These are Jews having a Havdalah meal. It makes more sense that, remember, a Jewish day goes from evening to evening. So here's Paul. Do you think he's a Jew and he just got back from the Feast of Unleavened Bread? And if you calculate the days that it takes to travel and you calculate him staying for 7 days, then it makes sense that this day, when it says upon the first day, it's talking about sundown on Saturday, what we would call Saturday, sundown, right? And he preaches until midnight. It makes more sense that he's going to have one meal and preach to midnight and then leave to travel the next day, right? Sunday. And so and someone was like, well, they're still meeting on Thursday. And I'm like, well, that's just a regular thing you do after Sabbath, right? You couldn't cook for 24 hours. And sometimes a lot of times you want to make something as soon as the sun goes down because now you can cook. And the Jews also have this ritual or custom, where they like to recognize the ending of the Sabbath and the beginning of the new week, because it's like separating the holy from the common, right? And call that like the Havdalah. And so I explain, and so I'm just explaining these things. I'm like, so I just don't see that verse like that. And to me, that's nothing to kick me out of a chat room, but nonetheless, I get banned because they're like, well, we gave you verses. It's Sunday, and we're just flying into a rage because you won't accept it. We gave you proof, but you won't admit it, and so now we're really angry at you. And it's just this whole mentality of just hating a person just because they had the word Protestant in their name. Because what if I didn't have Protestant in my name, and I'm just like, hey, I say this, and I think this. It's like, or you're just like someone new to the religion. Is this how you would treat them? Like, I don't know. Like, it's just a really weird thing, and I kind of noticed this mindset with just like a lot of Democrats in general will have this mindset. Like, if you're a Republican, they will almost try to fix you in one way and just like grit their teeth and just think all this stuff and judgmental things. And I mean, yes, Republicans are a little uh, there's a lot of people like that too on that side, but it's not so much to where there's like this hate, right? Whereas it's just, and then I just notice how cultish these groups are, and then I just start thinking about how cultish the whole entire world is, right? Where it's like you have these massive amounts of people that just want to believe something and they don't even care about looking at the truth. And then I also think about how the Seventh-day Adventist church is the same way, where it's like, you know, you can clearly see this woman's a false prophet. You have no proof for your beliefs. And yet, because like you can do that with the calendar and everything, like a lot of these things are pretty easy to prove. And they'll want to stick to this belief. And it's like, okay, so now we understand your prophet has absolutely no proof. Well, I mean, I should say, we can see clear proof she absolutely lied. This is absolutely founded on a lie. And these people, I even get these Seventh-day Adventists that will admit this, right? And I'm just kind of using them as an example. They'll even admit, yeah, you know what, Chris, what you showed me, but I'm still want to stay in my church. I can clearly see they lied. They definitely never used a Karaite calendar. They made up this Day of Atonement. Investigative judgment is a complete lie. I admit that, but I'm going to stay in this church because they keep the Sabbath. And I'm like, well, if you're promoting a false prophet on the Sabbath, you're lying on the Sabbath. A false prophet is also an idol because you're placing that false prophet's words in the place of God, claiming they are the words of God because she says she wrote scripture, basically. Well, her writings are scripture. So now you're putting that false prophet's words in the place of God. And these people are like, they get a little frustrated and they want to fight that. And I'm like, the thing is, I think those people are very lukewarm when they want to still stay in the system and then just keep making excuses. And I see this in the Orthodox, the Catholics, Seventh-day Adventists, and other groups, right? It's like, let me make an excuse to stay in my little church, my little group, and I just want to pretend like these problems aren't there and I don't want to deal with them. And then I want to take in silence anyone that causes me to engage my mind that there might be an issue, any kind of like challenge to what I believe. I'm just going to take and ban them because I don't want my thoughts engaged. Because I do that with Trump groups. I go into a Trump group. Hey, don't you know that Trump made warp speed? And I start to go, okay, I think it's really, I don't, can you guys show me the proof that this vaccine worked or anything, or that it's good? And they're like, no, it's bad. I'm like, okay, well, then why are you going for Trump? Oh, Trump's saving us. I'm like, but he locked you down. He's the one who signed everything. And they're like, no, that's not what I want to believe, that he didn't do that. I want to believe he's a hero. So I'm just going to like disconnect that that's actually reality. And you see almost 80 million people in America did that. And that's mind blowing to me. It's like you saw the guy sign warp speed. You saw the guy even say things like, you would not have this beautiful vaccine if it were not for me, what I forced the FDA to do. Right? He admits that he forced the FDA to approve of this, and he refused to write anything into warp speed that it could never be mandated. He could have easily wrote into it, this is experimental, it can never be mandated. But did he do that? No. He could have done that, couldn't he? Yeah. Yeah. And he refused to do it. And don't go, well, I mean, what excuse are you going to give him? He could have done that. Everyone saw this coming. Did anyone like not see that this was going to be mandated? I mean, to me, as soon as they did this whole lockdown, I was scared that this is exactly what was going to happen. And sure enough, you see warp speed coming out, right? I mean, I knew this was going to happen in February 20th. I was telling people this. I was like, get ready. They're going to lock us down and they're going to push they're going to probably push a vaccine on us, right? Sure enough. And it's like, I can see this coming from a mile away. Like, it's like, what's wrong with you people? And you can't go, well, I mean, and at the time I was working 60, 70, 80 hours a week. It's like, it's not like I had much time. And I had two small children, and it's like they were real small. So, it took, like when I come home from work, my hands are full. I don't even have time to get on the internet. But yeah, I could see this coming, right? I saw this coming from a mile away. I'm like, why can't other people see this coming? I don't get it. And all these people claim to be Christian, claim to be so awake, and it's like, why can't you see anything? Why are you acting like you're blind and like your reaction so delayed? I thought you were awake. I thought you could see things. I thought you weren't in a cult. And my mind's just completely blown by like, are you people all in this much of a delusion? And it's kind of bothering me, it's like, and I felt like the walls were already closing in before 2020 even happened. And then when I see 2020, I'm like, man, it's worse than I was trying to give people the benefit of the doubt, but it's way worse. And this is just what it is. It's like these people just cannot wake up for anything. You would think they would start to see this whole picture, right? Because, here you have the Pope who's working with all those companies pushing that thing that you thought looks, a lot of people kept saying looks like the mark of the beast. Okay, you think it looks like the mark of the beast. Then this guy who's president is pushing that, and he's doing warp speed, and he's telling the countries like Sweden who are not pushing it that, oh, Sweden, you made a terrible mistake. You should have locked down just like we did in America. Trump had these Twitter tweets, right? Going out saying, bashing Sweden and telling them they're doing the wrong thing, telling them that you need to lock down. You're going to pay that price. See, Trump was also pumping up this fear, and you got all these people like, no, he's supposed to be my hero. He's playing 3D chess and 4D chess, and he's a super genius, and I'm getting banned from these groups the same way I'm getting banned from these Catholic groups and these Orthodox groups and these Seventh-day Adventist groups. It's like, no, you don't understand, Chris. One of these days, you're going to be looking at your cell phone and you're going to see, and it's going to say, so-and-so's indicted, Hillary's indicted, and all this other stuff, and like, I'm just like, just making things up and just being all hateful about it on top of it, and censoring people like they don't even want the any kind of like thought that can challenge their worldview, no matter how logical it looks. It's like, Chris, I know he signed warp speed, I know he's the one who locked us down, but Chris, I'm telling you, he's the hero. And it's like, same, you could do the same thing with the Catholic Church, do the same thing with the Orthodox Church. It doesn't matter. And then you got people like the Seventh-day Adventists who cry about the Pope. Like, they're the ultimate paradox to me, because they will sit there and will cry about Jesuits are behind everything, and Pope's behind everything. And I believe that, I see that. But here's the thing about their crazy little minds, is that okay, you can see that the Pope's doing this stuff, and you can watch all these world leaders meeting with the Pope, including the Orthodox Church, even though the Catholic Church made the Orthodox people eat crap, right? During World War II, because the Catholic Church was behind, back in the Ustasha, which was ran by Catholic clerics. And the Ustasha, if you guys look them up, they ran the concentration camps in Yugoslavia, right, where they'd round up the Orthodox Christians and make them do forced Catholic conversions, and as soon as they converted, they'd kill them. And their whole goal was to um, try to convert as many of these people as possible. And then the ones that didn't convert, they'd get put in the camps. And then at these camps, they were starved to death, they were beaten, they were tortured brutally. And you'll still have the all these Orthodox people still being so friendly towards the Catholic Church, Like, I mean, I can understand, like, you go to work, you're friendly with the Catholic at work, or the Orthodox at work, or the Protestant at work, whatever it is, right? Mormon at work, day-to-day society. What I'm talking about is in general, like, you're like, but the Catholic Church is like my brothers, or that's like a sister church. It's like, I don't get that, not after what they did to you in World War II. And the Pope awarded Anti-Pavlik for doing what he did. And it's just like, and it's insane to me, like, but the Protestants are horrible, even though, the Protestants were fighting. It looks like they tried to fight the Nazis. Um, but, anyway, there's a lot of little intricacies with that, though, I won't want to get into. But back to the Seventh-day Adventist Church and their insanity. So they'll be like, oh, I'm so afraid of the Jesuits, right? Well, we can see Trump went to a Jesuit university, Jesuit Fordham University. He's married to a Catholic woman, Melania Trump. So she's Roman Catholic, and and we can go see him visiting Pope John Paul and bowing to it and paying a statue of a pope. So he's committing idolatry, in honor of the Catholic Church by visiting a statue of a guy that helped all kinds of horrific things, happen. Um, and so, and then the Seventh-day Adventist Church is sitting there like, hey, I know what, let's have everyone in our church get vaccinated with this Jesuit's invention that was rushed out, that looks like it was barely tested. But let's just go ahead and believe it, and then force got kids going to college and everything. Let's force them, and if they want to keep going to our Seventh-day Adventist colleges, let's force them to take this thing that looks like it was backed by a bunch of Jesuits. Like if anyone should have called this thing out first, you would think it would have been them, but no, they're promoting it on the Sabbath at their churches, telling people, come get this, right? So they're lying at their churches. And then this one Seventh-day Adventist had the nerve to me to go, well, we're not all like that. Well, where is your post and your videos talking about this? Why isn't, like, you say all Seventh-day Adventists aren't going along with this and that was a horrible thing? Okay, where are your videos? Where are your posts? You have a channel, so where is this where you're calling it out? See, but you want to sweep that stuff under the rug, and you just want to because you want to live in this delusion yourself, where your church has already lied. It's like, so why even bring up anything else bad? Just keep yourself in that nice, warm, fuzzy delusion, right? So, I think I'll acknowledge my chat. Sorry, guys. I just want to vent a little bit because I'm just like, I see a very delusional world that's really bothering me. Especially with the coming election. And I guess we've already talked to people in the chat. In fact, here, I tell you what, if someone wants to come up here, you can. I mean, if you guys just want to say anything, I kind of just got this stuff off my chest. But if anyone wants to join, there's the link. I guess I gotta go post that on not post it, but go over to my YouTube channel. Let me in case someone wants to, I'll pin that message. There you go. If anyone wants to join, you guys, anyone can. But yeah, I just think about this upcoming election, how it's 4 years later, and it's just, I'm looking at the political scene. It's like, wow, these people didn't learn. It's like they're still cheering for Trump 4 years later. Like, really, you couldn't figure this out in 4 years, that this stuff is bad, this guy is not the choice, and you guys still managed to put him in again anyway? And I would think the Republican Party should have banned him after losing to Biden. And people might say, well, it was fixed. Well, okay, if you guys think the election was fixed, I mean, I'm just going by the official Republican platform. The official Republican platform is not saying that. They're not saying that the election was fixed, right? So if the official Republican platform doesn't, members aren't saying it was fixed or rigged, and you did nothing for 4 years to try to reverse any of this stuff going on, you would think that more election reform would be pushed by now, but it's really not. It's been they've been very quiet about it. They've been very quiet about changes. So, okay, so now it seems like all the top Republicans, running the party are like, well, it wasn't rigged. Okay, if it wasn't rigged, you just had this guy that lost to the absolute worst Democrat ticket in history. He does not deserve to ever run again. And everyone who even supported him is stupid for supporting him because he just lost to the worst Democrat ticket ever. And no one pushed, no one's like going out there to do anything to fix the voting. It's like when people like me were suggesting ideals, like sensible ideals to suggest the vote to fix the voting. Where was the support on my channel? I mean, everyone should have been coming to me, not just crying like, "Oh, Chris, but you don't like Trump." Well, I got a good reason for not liking Trump. Look what he did. I think he killed my sister. So I have a good reason not to like the guy. Why should I like the guy? I mean, is this the kind of candidate you want? You want some guy that's going to come right back in to the office and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna force a vaccine on you. I'm gonna lock the nation down. I'm gonna create inflation. I'm also going to not only create a lot of inflation, but I'm also going to mess over the so-called what was it? Essential workers, right? Like remember when they kept telling you guys, "Oh, you're going to get hero pay." Right? Well, where's my hero pay? I mean, I was working actually in a kind of a dangerous environment if there's a real virus and a very essential job. And it's like, if there's a real virus, why don't you pay me for encountering this so-called real virus? But my job was treated like the government treated us and most other people like we were immune to it, or else the virus didn't even exist. So it's either you're really, really, really stupid, which I don't think our government really is, or it just didn't even exist and you were treating it like it did not exist. At least when it came to us, but it's like you were promoting all this other stuff because obviously if you thought it really existed, you would give us hero pay. There's that's a no-brainer. Like, oh, I really do care about you guys. That's why we are locking down. And because we are locking down because we do care about you, here's your hero pay, right? But I wasn't given that. None of us were given that. So that and but yet we have to pay for that higher inflation. So it was being stuck to us while we're paying for people to stay at home and collect $1,000 checks, which is more than what a lot of us people make. Um, you guys got to stay home collecting these checks while we were out there dealing with a dangerous virus that could kill us, supposedly. And no hero pay. So it's like either everyone who believes in this virus is a total just I mean just a piece of crap, right? You're an absolute piece of crap. You know why I say that? Because I don't see any of you guys hardly making that big of a fuss about us getting hero pay, because it seems like if you cared about us, not only just the government, anyone who thought this virus was real, you should have been out there demanding, like, man, dude, I feel so bad for those people. Give them hero pay. Give them hero pay. You know what? When I'm working, I'm going on YouTube. I'm like, where's this? All these people that tell us they love us essential workers and all this. Where are you? And you're sitting at home getting your house redone and going to Home Depot and doing all these chores and like, man, it feels like I'm on vacation and all. You guys are doing all that stuff while we're out there working and watching, and we're all talking about, do we know inflation's going to go up because they're just putting all this money for people to stay at home and do nothing, and the supply chain is getting going low because these people are doing nothing. And it's like, and none of these people are doing anything. It just shows you how self-absorbed, how no one really cares, and then all they want to do is just sit around and believe their little delusional little world they live in. And nothing gets, and I would say like almost the majority of the Trump supporters are like that, because I saw that I'd go see them waving signs, wanting to believe this guy. He's doing all this, and all it took was a little pressure. Like, I'm here. I was trying to run for office a couple of times, right? It's like, okay, I know I said something like you didn't like me crashing your world when I said Trump shouldn't have locked us down. He should, or he, I think that was I think that's a big mistake, guys, when Trump's not writing into warp speed that it can never be mandated. What if a Democrat wins? And I'm thinking, dude, even if Trump wins, why it might get mandated? There's no guarantee he's not going to do it. I mean, yes, I know he claims he's not going to do it, but he also claimed a lot of things before he became president, right? Remember, he says, I'm going to lock Hillary up. I'm going to investigate her. And as soon as he won, I mean, the very next day that they declared him the winner, what was the first thing he said? They start chanting, lock her up, lock her up. And what did he say? What did he say? That played good before the election, but now, nah, you don't want that. What? See, keep that in mind. Oh yeah, guys, I wouldn't have mandated that vaccine. I would have talked you into it, but I wouldn't have mandated it. And people were like, see, he said he wouldn't have mandated it because he said he could have talked us into it. But what if he couldn't talk you into it? Would he have mandated it? See, I mean, when you really listen to him closely, he says, I wouldn't have had to mandate it because I would have talked them into it. But who's to say he wouldn't? See, because he could have also had that already written into warp speed if he thought it being forced on people was a horrible thing. But obviously, he didn't think that was that horrible a thing, so he never wrote that protection into it before he signed it. And he also had other chances. And I tried to bring this up. I tried to bring this up to big Trump groups, right? Like I had a chance. Like you see all these Trump groups that got like 100,000 here, 10,000 there, 200,000 here, a million here. Well, there was times when I actually talked to people that were like at the top of these groups, and when I mentioned this, they banned me from speaking in their groups because they said, because I go, hey guys, why don't we take and all like write letters to him and send letters to him at one time and telling him we want him before he renews the emergency order, because he's got to do this every 90 days. He has to renew emergency order, because if he doesn't renew it, if he does not renew the emergency order, then the lockdowns end, everything ends, and even the warp speed goes away. He's got to keep renewing it, because the only way you get warp speed is by an emergency declaration, because you can't warp speed a vaccine without an emergency declaration. You can't force it on people either without an emergency declaration. So he renews it 3 times while he's in office. Each time it was up for renewal, I was trying to tell people, hey, why don't we get letters together and tell him before he renews it, say, hey, hey guys, if you want me to renew this, like let's, because I said, look, let's pretend like the Democrats are really threatening him, because that's what these crazy people would say. The Democrats are threatening him, Chris. He's got to do it. He's scared of him. He's got to do it. I'm like, no, I don't think he's actually scared of him. I don't think he's got to do it. He doesn't have this pressure. I said, but let's pretend he does. Let's pretend you people are 100% right. I said, why don't we just get together, and if he starts seeing a million letters come in that say, hey, write into warp speed that it can never be mandated, and you can threaten the Democrat Party, say, well, if you want me to renew this emergency order, my base wants me to make sure I can write in that this can never be mandated. That way, and you guys can't say, oh, this never entered his mind, because no, we were already telling him to do it, right? And why wouldn't you do it? Why would you put us in that position where it could be mandated? So but no, these people just freaking out. No, it's playing 3D chess. We're banning you. And as part of me thinks the people at the top of all these groups are in on it too. You know, and that maybe they're working as an agent, right? And they're running this, but who knows? I just float that idea out there. But one thing I do know is that did not make sense to me. And I just see so many people with that mindset where it's like, no, I don't want, I really want to believe this thing and I don't want it challenged. And so they just stay in their little cults. And it always makes me think that these people, um, whether it's their church, well, definitely if it's their church, because I see a problem with when people go to their church and they don't want to face up, like, oh, here's the truth, and instead they don't. It's like, but I don't want to accept this. I don't want to deal with this because I want to stay in my comfortable little church. So I don't want this. I don't want to have to deal with this. So I'm not going to think about it. And I think it just causes like a lukewarm attitude where you don't love God that much. So because you don't love God that much, you're just gonna stay in your little system, your little Seventh Day Adventist system, your little Catholic, your little Orthodox system, because you don't want to deal with things. And I wouldn't mind these people. Like, I'm not saying everyone's like this, but I'm just saying like some of the people I'm coming in contact with lately, they're bothering me because to me they are like this, right? When I get timed out or banned just because I bring up an argument and someone doesn't like it and they don't know how to counter it. But I mean, don't insist that I brought up Revelation 1 verses 10. Therefore, Chris, that proves that Sunday is the Lord's Day. And it's like, no, no. And in fact, you know what? I recently was reading through what is said to be original Hebrew manuscripts. It doesn't even have the Lord's Day in the manuscript. Um, I thought that was pretty interesting. Um, so I mean, was that later added? Or maybe this manuscript's not 100% legit. I don't know. I'm still kind of looking at it. But I think it's called the Cochin Hebrew manuscript. Cochin. Um, let's see if I can find it. Cochin Revelation Hebrew. So they say, but an authentic copy of Revelation written in Hebrew may have indeed been found in 1806. Claudius Buchanan found 2 Hebrew New Testament manuscripts in a Jewish synagogue in Cochin, India. Together, these 2 manuscripts contain all the books of the New Testament in Hebrew, compiled from various sources. So, and there are things called markers in it that helps you understand that whether is this an authentic original Hebrew manuscript, or did it come from a translation from Greek, right? Because I know people think that, but maybe this is it. I'll just show this part. I'm not going to dwell on this. Uh, I'll just go to. Okay, I think it's got it already translated here. Oh yeah, right here it says, like, so here's that verse in Revelation 10 that everyone says is Lord, that the Greek says is Lord's Day. It says, as the Ruach HaKodesh, so as the Ruach HaKodesh was resting on me, I heard behind me a great voice. So you don't see anything about, and I was in the spirit of the Lord's Day, right? It just says, as the Ruach HaKodesh was resting on me. So it's like as the Spirit was resting on me, or as the Holy Spirit was resting on me, I heard behind me a great voice. And so when you look at all the other verses that people try to use to try to say Sunday is some kind of day of reverence. It's like you don't even see that in the Bible, right? Like there's just like no reverence absolutely ever given to it. Paul treats it like a common day that you should travel on in Acts 20 verse 7. Because it's like, yeah, they're meeting on the first day, but remember the first day starts in the evening. So a 5 hour hangout, preaching until midnight. Okay, that makes a lot more sense that guys preach, Jews get together for an evening meal, a Havdalah meal where they uh, uh, celebrate the ending of the Sabbath and the beginning of a new week. Okay, he just got done traveling for the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So, and in Acts 18, we see him even still keeping Sabbath. Like, what is it? Something like 80 something consecutive times or something. Um, and this is and at least after the year of 49 AD, because we know what is it? Emperor Claudius banned the Jews in 49 AD, and it says um, that they were someplace I can't remember off the top of my head, but you can read that part in Acts 18 where there was the band of Emperor Claudius. So that gives you a time marker, and then later on it tells you that they're going to the synagogue on the Sabbath to hear Paul preach, right? So, so here's Paul doing all that. So it just makes sense. Here it is, the evening. A Jewish day starts in the evening. They meet on yes, it's upon the first day of the week. That means it's turning into the first day of the week. And these are Jews, and this is Jewish timekeeping. Paul preaches until midnight, 4 or 5 hours till midnight. And then he departs, and then he's getting ready to leave on the morrow, right? Which is Sunday during the day. So he just travels. So he doesn't have any reverence towards the day. And he can't find one single verse for it, right? And maybe there is some sort of proof for Sunday, but it's not in the Bible. Okay, maybe there's some Sunday reverence, but it's not in the Bible. That's all I'm saying. If you guys want, you guys, no one can say that the Bible has any proof at all. There's not a single drop of proof in the Bible for changing Sabbath to Sunday or Sunday sacredness. You want to make an argument that Sabbath is done away with, everything's done away with, you go make that argument, but you can't make that argument that it was changed. That's all I'm saying. Oh, hey, King James. But anyway, Cindy asked a while ago, and I'm just getting around to it. So who will you be voting for in the upcoming election? Andrew Horning for senator, because he's a libertarian, but he's the only guy I know that was running for office that was backing me back when I was trying to protest this before Trump ever locked anyone down. I was going to have a protest, and Andrew Horning, who's running for Indiana senator and the libertarian ticket, that's about one of the only guys I can think of that I'm voting for in this election. And my sheriff, he's a pretty good guy, Sheriff Sadler. And I don't know. There might be a couple other little local offices, but there. I mean, my governor. My governor is the guy that ignored my phone calls, and now he gets to become governor. I mean, this is why I'm like, I'm pretty mad at everybody because it's like I don't know what to do. Like, I try to start a channel. I try to ask, and it's like naturally, if you see someone out there that talks about politics and mentions, hey, I might think about running, why don't you subscribe and make them feel like you support them, right? Instead of just like, oh, he said one bad word about Trump. I'm not okay, but maybe I said a bad word about Trump, but do you want the vaccine forced on you? Do you want all this stuff? Do you want your inflation going up through the roof? Do you want another lockdown? Do you want someone that actually has ideals how to force people's hands into having really good election reform and all this other stuff? and it's like a lot of people are like, yeah, I want all that, but you said one bad word about Trump. So no, it's not going to be you. I'm going to hate on you, and it's just like it's insane to me because they'll take in instead of like a guy that's sitting out there trying to do something and has some good ideals. It's like let me just hate you because of this one little thing, or yeah, you got this, you don't have the same kind of Christian religion as me or something. It's like, but what about these ideals? It's like, yes, I believe something that might not be usual, but you can't find nothing in the Bible that contradicts it. It's not like I'm sitting here like, preaching something that's just so obviously wrong and I get hated over it. Okay, just for saying, hey, there's nothing about Sunday sacredness in the Bible, right? And I kind of leave it most of the time with most people as casual as that. And then if they want to push on me, I'm like, I'll bring up those scriptures just like I did earlier. Then you'll be like, okay, I can see, most people who watch my channel think, okay, he's got a point. Now I know some people still go to Sunday church anyway, but and they'll go, okay, he made a fair point. And I just wish, some of these other people would not get so easily triggered. But then it's like the people to wind up voting for, if they actually made YouTube videos that talked about all this stuff and about everything they thought, it's like, okay, you just voted for this Catholic and you think a lot worse of this Catholic, but yet the Catholic didn't say anything bad about Trump. And because I said something bad about Trump, they looked for one other thing maybe that they didn't like, oh my gosh. And it's like, it's kind of maddening to me. I'm just like, I'm so mad. I'm so mad about the SDA church. It's like, you'd think that those people would snap out of it after their church went along with it, even though they say, oh my gosh, Jesuits. And everybody involved in it was a Jesuit. You had even the Pope saying that it's an act of love to get vaccinated, and pushing every single medical institution to force it on their people. The Catholic Church and the Vatican was running the Vatican Council of Culture trying to make deals with governments to censor the internet more, censor social media more, so it could tighten the control of what can be said over the internet. And meanwhile, SDA Church just rolls right along with it. And here you got, so that's 20 million people supposedly right there, just rolling along with it. Even though they're real loud, they act like they're real loud. They act like they claim they're Protestant. They claim they're the only Protestant group, in fact. And they just go right along with this stuff. Is there a defined group called the Seventh-day Berean? You know what? I'm the main guy that runs it. I'm trying to make a group because I was trying to, yeah, but I was working real light with it. It was just kind of like a side project because I'm pretty busy and I actually don't feel like I'm the person who should be running a church. I kept trying to find other people. I even had ways of funding other people. Like I can't, for some reason, it's real frustrating to me because I can never find how to fund myself to become a pastor, but I can find ways to fund other people. But then these other people will get hung up on like one really stupid thing. And I'm like, I can't deal with it. I can't work with that. Or it's like they're so emotional about like a church they already belong to and they just don't want to leave it. And I'm like, but they're teaching this and they'll even agree. Yeah, I know it's like we're teaching something weird. I agree, Chris, it's weird, but I really like my church, and it's like, oh. But I just haven't really had time to do it. But I'm just kind of like, man, maybe I'm just supposed to do it anyway. Maybe I don't feel like I'm competent enough, but I'm still supposed to do it anyway. I don't know. Maybe if I'm just humble, I'll be okay, you know. But yeah, Adrian says Chris is saying that he believes in the 7th-day Sabbath and tries to study like the Berean. Oh man, yes, right on, Adrian. This doesn't mean that isn't a group called that, but he's just an independent currently. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it, man. Do I derive any joy or peace from my chosen spiritual path? Fauci was into the COVID up to his eyeballs. Yeah. Um, so, um, I don't know about joy or peace. I mean, I feel like I love God, and I there's just a lot of things that irritate me about church. Like, I don't know how to go to a church when, like, some of these churches teaching the things they do, and I know it's false, right? Um, like I said, it's kind of like the Sabbath church. Like, I mean, not Sabbath church, the Seventh Day Adventist church. Because I can't even call them a Sabbath church because they don't keep the Sabbath. They don't care about the Sabbath. So, um, because if they cared about the Sabbath, they'd want to keep it holy. So, and they're not keeping it holy by promoting a false prophet on the Sabbath. So therefore, they're not a Sabbatarian church because they don't keep the Sabbath. I mean, that's like, okay. I mean, would you call someone that goes to work every Sabbath a Sabbatarian? No. Would you call someone that goes to work every Saturday, even though he's a Christian and everything? Um, would you call that person a Sabbatarian? Probably not, unless they're like in the medical profession or some fireman or policeman. But other than that, if they did it, you're probably not going to call them, a Sabbatarian, and because they're breaking the Sabbath, right? So it's like, why would you call the Seventh Day Adventist Church a Sabbatarian church when they don't care about the Sabbath? Because if you cared about the Sabbath, you're going to try to keep it holy. You're not going to intentionally lie every week. And that's my main problem with them because if anyone, I don't know, Cindy, if you saw that show earlier, but I did a show earlier with Herb Selinsky, and he pretty much destroyed any doubt anyone should have about whether or not the the biblical calendar is based on barley. Like, there was a couple of parts in there where it's pretty thorough that there's no way that any that biblically you would ever use the barley to determine the start of a Jewish month. There's just no way whatsoever. But yeah, here you got the Seventh Day Adventists claiming they're doing this ancient Karaite calendar that's using barley, and right there you should know that after all that proof that Herb Selinsky gave today, you apply that to what the Seventh Day Adventists are trying to claim, and it's insane. You know, not to mention, there's no record of any Karaite that will even say, "Oh yeah, I agree with the Seventh Day Adventists. We did have the Day of Atonement in October 22nd of 1844." No, none. They all say it was in September of 23rd of 1844. Almost every single group. None of them, no Karaite in the world's agreeing with them. They can't find a Jew that agrees with them. So, but they want you just to believe anyway. And then I think, on top of it, everything Herb said today, it's like, if there was a group keeping a barley calendar, why should you even trust it? So let's say that they really did talk to some Karaites that really did keep the calendar. Well, and they really did base it off the barley. Now, they don't even have proof of that. They don't even have proof that they even talked to it. In fact, they got more proof showing that they never talked to a Karaite. But let's just say they could produce some proof that they actually really did talk to some people. They really were Karaites, and they really did keep the Day of Atonement on October 22nd of 1844. Everything Herb Selinsky showed today shows that those people are not to be trusted because because that's completely inaccurate and absurd to use the barley to determine the month. Um, so even if it was, you have a small group of you would have a small group of Karaites that were using an absurd way of trying to determine the month that's not even biblical. So they shouldn't be trusted anyway, even if they did talk to them. But they can't even produce Karaites that agree with them, that talk to them. Um, just like none. It's like, how would you even know that the month was supposed to start without any Karaite telling you that they saw barley ripe or not? How do you know? You never, like, they have never even produced a letter from a Karaite saying, yes, this is the going to be the Day of Atonement because because earlier in 1844 in April we finally saw the ripened barley or whatever. The barley was in Aviv, right? But Herb showed that the word Aviv has a very, very broad meaning. So, what do you mean when you say it's in Aviv? Because Aviv can mean a wide range of things. So and because the range is so wide, what are you looking for? Where do you get that specific detail from? You can't find it. Um, eh, you know, Does one need StreamYard to join? No, you don't need StreamYard to join, but what it is, Adrian, is if you click the StreamYard link, it's got a program that loads up. I won't say program, it's like opening up a web page, right? And then you would click it. Here, I'll show people how this works. So, in case in the future, I think I should be able to maybe do this on my other screen. Let's see here. This way. Okay. So let's say you were to click that StreamYard link. This is what would pop up. All right. So that would pop up. You would click this enter studio button. Now, right here before you enter the studio, though, you don't have to have your cam on. So you can click stop cam. So if you got a phone or something, you just click stop cam. If you got, lots of stuff going on in your house, you might want to mute your mic if you don't want me to overhear anything. But yeah, and anyway, you would either pick that, so whether you want to be seen or not, and then you would click the enter studio button. So just in the future, you don't want your face to be shown. You don't even have to have your face shown. The only exception I might make is maybe some people I don't know. I might not. I might want to just kind of see your face on the cam for a second. So I know, because I don't want something too crazy coming on my channel. But for the most part, I mean, you don't have to show your cam at all for most people. It's just mostly if I get like a vibe, like, oh, I got kind of my spidey sense is tingling a little bit, and it just kind of also depends on what kind of day I'm having. Lisa Miles says, I get what you're saying. It's incredibly insane. Most can be family who will not hear or see what you're telling them because you love them. They don't want to hear the truth of Christ, only the world of lies. Every bit of this garbage is diabolical. It all comes from Satan. Yeah, I agree with all that. I know you're feeling I know your feeling of him killing your sister. I agree. I lost my dad 2 years ago because of him. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the issue. See, she was even. I think she. I don't want to say she's Democrat. She leaned that way, but she didn't like Trump. She didn't want to get his vaccine. She thought the lockdown was stupid. As far as I understand. Um, and but she needed medical treatment, and she felt forced into getting this in order to get the medical treatment, even though someone in her position shouldn't have been forced to take something that's experimental, that's never been tested on someone in her condition, right? And and every time I hear these people, that are Trump supporters cheering for Trump, I'm like, oh, you're cheering for this to happen to my sister. You are murderers, all of you. You won't, because you guys like you got to remember, I was the guy that was out there. I'm not getting to see my kids because I'm like, I got to organize the protest because these people that are staying at home won't organize a protest. It's the guy who's the essential worker who's working 70 hours a week that's got with two kids who has to go there while everyone at home. Oh, I'm having a vacation. I got this stuff at Home Depot. I got this $1,000 check coming in, and I'm gonna fix up my house and do all this stuff. Man, this is like being on vacation. Yeah, I hear all these people say this while I'm working, right? And I'm just like, or I come home, and I'll read a little Facebook or something. I'm like, man, it's like, it's driving me crazy because I'm like, dude, I'm out here, working. I know my inflation's coming. And at the time, I'm like, dude, I don't know if someday someone's going to knock on my house and force my whole family to take this or take us to jail if we don't take it. With the way everything felt in 2020 and 2021, it kind of felt like that. And I'm like, and here are these people. It's like, dude, what is wrong with you? Right? It's like, and they're just like, no, we believe in Trump and indictments are coming. I'm like, I'm just like, I'm just real furious in here. I'm like the guy who's also sitting there with the, trying to throw out sensible things like, hey guys, can we tell Trump, can we put some pressure on Trump not or can we put some pressure on Trump before he renews the emergency order to threaten to say, hey, before I sign this, we're going to write into warp speed that this can never be mandated. And I had those same Trump fans throwing me out of their groups. And now my sister dies, and these same people still are like cheering for Trump. And I feel like they're just murderers that just will never wake up from their delusion. And it's like you won't even help the people with the good ideals who are against this, but yet some of these delusional Trump people will cry about a vaccine, cry about this being forced on them, cheer for the guy that gave it to them. It's like, what? And I don't. I mean, I just wonder if that's what even got me even starting to read the Bible more, because I was like, is this something spiritual going on with people? Like, I mean, to where you're this delusional I mean, what is going on with your heart and your mind to where you're just gonna believe this? Like, why can't you accept truth? Because I honestly think it would only take about 10,000 people to fix a lot of this stuff. 10,000, that's it. Maybe 20, 100, definitely. Get a lot of this stuff corrected, right? Because I had this idea where if I could just find 10,000 people to donate $1 a month to me, that I could fix things. So you'd think that there should be 10,000 people that are upset about the way things are going. They would go onto my buy me a coffee site, sign up for it. Be like, yeah, I'll go donate $1. I just need 10,000 people to donate $1. Like, I don't even notice a dollar coming out of my bank account, right? one little dollar a month, right? And I had someone actually complain that when I made this one video and I said, "Hey, I got me a buy me a coffee and you can donate just $1 a month." And they actually had the nerve to complain and get mad and rip into me. And it's just like it's so insane because it's like, dude, that would free up me enough time to where I can travel and force these people on camera, because that's what I want to do. There are certain people that I just don't have the time to travel. You got these people like Alex Jones that can hire people to go interview other people, right? He's making so much money. Joe Rogan, all these people making so much money. These guys can take and easily get a lot of things fixed. They got a big voice, but they can also sit there and have someone say, "Hey, I want you to go to so and so, and I want you to ask them these questions and force them to give you these answers." And then I'm going to take and broadcast that on my show. See, I actually can go and talk to these same people. The thing is, I have no time. I have, like, right now, I don't even have time to do this show. Like, my kids just happen to be like my everything today is just falling into a nice place to where I can do another show. But most of the time, it's hard for me to even do one show a week because of how everything is. But if I didn't have to do my job 70 hours a week, and I could travel, I could have forced these people at these rallies and stuff. Like, okay, here's a rally for this governor. I'm going to go there, right? And force them to say things, force them to have to answer questions. Um, there was like this guy, I don't want to give out his name because I'm still hoping to get an interview, but he was actually one of these guys that worked with Donald Trump, and he was trying to talk to Donald Trump. I want to ask him some very specific questions, but he was part of that warp speed team, and he seemed like uh, maybe the most legit guy. I don't know if he actually is, but he seemed like one of the more legit guys. And I want to ask him some questions. Never could do it though because I just don't have the time. I mean, it was impossible to interview him. But I want to ask him. It's like, and have this on record. Like, when you talk to Trump, did you suggest this? Did anyone suggest this? And just bring up these certain little things that I want to know. It's like, hey, I thought, um, why did he go and still renew the emergency order? And get these official statements, so these guys cannot hide. Like, I just wanted to make it to where they couldn't hide. Like, my senator, Mike Braun, right now, this piece of crap is going to be, it looks like he's going to be our governor. And that's why I kind of like Andrew Horning as my senator. If he makes it in, I know he's a libertarian. It's a very long shot, but he was the one person that was supporting me on all these things I was trying to do. And not only that, he even said Mike Braun's going to be the governor probably. And he said this way years ago, years and years ago. And you look at this guy. Here's Mike Braun, man, just looking like it was just like someone had planned it, almost the way everything's working out for him. It's almost like it's just totally scripted. And it's amazing to watch because this guy had a chance to um at least he had a couple of chances to uh, I guess it's kind of like give a foundation for if someone ever accused the 2020 election of being rigged. I floated an idea by him that, hey, why don't you go investigate what looks like election rigging that happened in this primary in Massachusetts, right? And yes, it's a Republican primary, but go investigate it, because what it would allow you to do is say that this isn't like something where you're biased, like, oh, the only reason why we're complaining about losing the national election for president is because a Democrat won. Well, okay, so but if you would have went and investigated that Republican primary, like I asked you, like when I called you and asked you that, and I do have that call recorded. I said, hey, I told him, I said, good and well that they're gonna rig the national election. All right. And now me, I just think it's all planned. But I'm planning to fit, people in the future hearing that call. And I know most people want to believe that, oh, Trump's legit, everyone's legit. So I'm trying to play into that mindset when I'm making this call. And I'm like, hey, that they're planning on rigging this election coming up. Why don't you go and investigate the Republican primary in Massachusetts? Because that looks really weird when the guy who won that primary didn't have anyone handing out flyers, had no rallies, no nothing. He wins. But the guy that everyone is seeing involved in rallies and stuff and is always speaking, is on YouTube and everything, and he's speaking to everyone. And people even outside of his state knows he's running. It's like, how did he lose? Why don't you go investigate that? And I said, also, they destroyed the ballots. That should really be investigated, right? Because they claim they lost the images to the ballots. So I'm like, you should really go investigate that. Mike Braun just sitting there, nope, I'm not. I'm Trump. It's like won't do it. Now Donald Trump supposedly loses a so-called rigged election, right? Okay, Mike Braun, had you investigated that, then, like I asked you to when I called you, maybe if you would have investigated that primary, you would have been like, hey, that looks funny now. Now you have Donald Trump losing a national election, and you start investigating all this rigging. But see, I also had told these people, why don't you go and investigate the rigging that happened back in 2018 and 2016? And and my thing was, and I got kicked out of Trump groups for this back in 2016 and 2018. Because when Trump won, I said, you know what? One of the first things we do, since we can hear all these people talking about Russian collusion, one thing you could do to win the Democrats over is to go investigate the Democrat primary that Bernie Sanders lost, because that looks real fishy to him. Because I knew millions. I knew like the head of the Bernie Sanders fan groups and things like that. I knew the top people in them, right? I knew some of the people that were controlling like groups of millions of people, right? Or not, maybe not controlling them, but like talking to the people that were helping to run these massive Bernie Sanders groups. And they were all sitting there like, man, the Hillary tried to rig the primary on us, and she rigged it, and they were mad. And I remember like these people I knew, they drove to this one place, they drove to the Democrat National Convention where they announced the winner. And and it's like, I remember how mad they were, and they felt like Hillary had stole an elections and rigged it. And it looks like there was, in fact, there was proof of it. And I was like, well, if Donald Trump would go investigate that, that would make him look good. But I got kicked out of Trump groups for suggesting it. So this is where I'm starting to get just like real fed up with people, because it's like I'm not like some new little voice. Like my voice has been out there. My channel has been banned like 10 to 13 times. This is like the 13th channel I've had, and I've been kicked off of all these groups, all these like websites that you say are free speech, like Brand New Tube. Some people thought, oh, Brand New Tube, they allow so and so to speak on their own. All these other people who are so-called anti-vaccine and all this, they let them talk on there. But me, okay, here I am getting 10,000 people to watch my show live, like a lot of people, and I barely promoted my show. 10,000 live viewers. And suddenly, though, when I try to do my show next week, can't do it. And it's like, well, why can't I do my show? Well, I think they were doing something on the other end to make sure I couldn't start my show. Kept trying to hit the go live button and everything wouldn't go right. And then I think there's a couple other websites that blocked me from even starting an account. Well, it's like once they found out what I was going to upload, they blocked me from even uploading. But other people can get on there. I couldn't do it. So, and the only people that would let me go on is Odyssey, Odyssee. Odyssey, they were probably the best group there is, because not only could I post videos there, they also helped me to go live there, which, at the time, very few people could go live. And they actually had like people there that was like, oh, this is how you activate your live function. You have to have so many credits, and you have to have all this, and you have to have that. And I was like, oh man. And they were like, but don't worry, we'll give that to you. I was like, oh, what? All these other places are banning me in Odyssey. They give me these credits and let me go live and help me out. So I don't know, like Odyssey seemed like a nice group of people. Rumble, so far I haven't had problems with them. But these there aren't too many platforms. I like what was one of those ones that was real Parlor. That was one I had issues with. But I mean, well, I didn't have issues with it. It's what's really weird is when I got on there, I was super popular. It was surprisingly to me. Because I mean I was being outspoken about all this stuff going on, and I was outspoken about Trump too. I wasn't holding anything back. But surprisingly, there was like a lot of conservatives on there that were supportive of me. But I joined Parler about a month before this website got shut down. And when Parler got shut down, I can't remember if my Twitter account got shut down too. As I remember, my Twitter, my YouTube, and Parler almost all got shut down at once. And um, I'm supposedly supposed to be a nobody. But yeah, it's like all these my 3 accounts got shut down all at once, and I was commenting on the election while it was going on, and I had like some certain Trump clip that I cannot find again, that I was playing. And I I don't know, man. I don't know what happened to that, but the thing that hurt me about that Twitter was I was trying to use that to run for office, and I had like I was getting close to 20,000 followers on there, and it was real hard to even get up to that point because, like I said, people would fight me. They would hate on me. They would tell other people not to subscribe. They bash me. And so it took a lot of fighting with people to even get it up that high. And I'm kind of surprised it was able to get up that high. And just to lose it like that, it's like if I'm someone small trying to run for office where everyone's real lazy about donating and real apathetic about it, to also just be attacked like that and being ripped off the internet where, okay, now I'm trying to run for office, but now I can't even have a voice. That's real frustrating. When I have to fund everything, I have to do every single bit of work. I'm also fighting a bunch of people and just a bunch of maniacs. And then to lose my account, it's like how do I run against these people? And then it always kind of bothers me because then it's like at the same time, a lot of people that attack me expect me to be like some professional. And it's like, how do I even become a professional at anything when I have no support? It's like, dude, I'm just some guy I'm working 70 hours a week trying to do this in my free time. I'm begging for support. I'm begging for just $1 a month. I mean, $1. Like, I mean, really, it's like, show me someone else that was like really trying to do all that fighting, right? I mean, if someone tells me they lost a relative or something, and that they're trying to go up against this, trying to expose this vaccine, expose what's going on. It's someone that actually seems like they got some kind of brain kind of working, and they were like, "I just want $1, dude. I don't need $1." I'm just like, but dude, I feel like I must be some scumbag or something, dude. I must be like the biggest scumbag to most people because it's like, but you guy, not you, right? It's like you don't get even $1, Chris. I'll give a bum $1 before I give you $1. I'll give that guy that's gonna smoke some crack on the street. He'll get my money before you get my money, buddy. you joke, you big joke, you. That bum will get my money. Someone else will get my money. I'd rather go and you know, buy something totally worthless for $1 or something, dude, or something you shouldn't even be buying, right, for $1 before I'll support because you're that low. Like that's kind of how I kind of feel on top of dealing with all this nonsense. It's like, and dude, I could have such a good show if I just had time. I just don't even have time, and that's all that's about. And I'm like, I thought that was something so little, 10,000 people, $1 each. But I can't even keep subscribers because people are so sensitive to everything I say, right? Because I say a bad word about Trump. And well, they'll like my religious videos, they'll like some of those things I say. Then they'll stumble across my Trump video and their brains just get blown out. Like, what? Trump promoted the vaccine. Yes, I have a whole list of clips where Trump is promoting this thing. You know, One of the videos I had to take down, but I'll re-upload it. But there's some things I did not know if there was like a legal matter in one of them. That's why I took it down because I didn't know. But it was actually a really good video. Other than that, but I had this list of things where a list of videos, and you can just see Trump and he's promoting the vaccine. The words are coming out of his own mouth, and you can see this. And I would have people hating it, and it's like it's irritating to me now because you have this AI that's getting so good, and now when people see this proof, they're saying oh no, it's AI generated, and it's like, gosh, it's like they don't want to believe it. Now they got a new way of figuring out how not to believe something. It's like, oh, now I got another excuse I can cling to. It was AI generated. Trump never said that. Even though the original clip that I saw on Fox News, he actually had those words coming out of his mouth. It's like with this technology now, you got to deal with and I had these clips, even a couple of years ago before anyone was hardly using AI, when AI was still pretty crappy. And and I'm playing these clips, and people had a hard time dealing with it. But now you got AI, and people are like, oh, it must be AI because that's not something I want to believe. I don't want to believe those words came out of his mouth. So yeah. Let's just see what the chat's saying. Both sides are controlled uniparty. I'm not voting for evil. Yeah. There are a couple Republicans, like I said, I'm voting for. They're in very small offices. But I'm not voting for well, there's no one nationally I can think of that I'd vote for. I can't. There might be one congressman that's running in my state I'm pretty sure there's no senators in the Republican Party, so I'm gonna have to vote Libertarian. But I still feel like the biggest problem is that people, it's like, treat the Republican primary like the election, and people are kind of lazy about that. It's like, when I'm trying to run, it's like these people expect me to win the primary on my own, and then they'll vote for me in the general election. It's like it doesn't work like that. You guys got to get involved in the primary, and you guys got to get involved in pre-primary. Like when I'm throwing my name out there, it's like don't like I had almost, how many letters that came through the mail? Like, I probably had a few thousand letters, right? And I kind of blew my mind this last time because I thought, I actually got on the ticket as a congressman for Indiana, a house, to be a U.S. representative. So I'm gonna be going to Washington, D.C., representing Indiana for Congress, right? That was my goal. But I didn't see support, right? Until after I dropped out, and then suddenly all the support, came in. But I was like, well, I want to drop out because there's like this one little legal matter that if I wasn't sure whether I had to stop doing certain YouTube videos as I was running for office. But I'm like, well, I find those videos very beneficial to people, but I don't want to have to stop doing them if no one, like, because I thought, well, if no one's going to support me, I don't want to put myself in this position. So I'll just pull out. That way I don't have to worry about this matter. And but it's like, where was it? Like, I needed to see the support going into the primary, not like, oh, here I drop out, and then like weeks later people are pouring me mail, and it's like that was a little frustrating. I mean, it was kind of encouraging, but it was also kind of frustrating because I'm like, well, I would have stayed in the race if people like could have made me. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why they weren't like going to my web pages and things like that and let me know anything. Okay, so um, you know what? I think I wonder. Hold on. What was that like? I wonder if this one's still up there. Oh, see, this was a video I had. I guess they done took it down. It's still down. That's great. So they took all that down. But this was an interesting montage because I loved playing it because I would play Trump promoting the vaccine and promoting wanting to have a saying, oh, we should lock things down and everything. And so Trump's promoting all this. And then what I would do is I would show, oh, what were the Democrats doing at the same time? So while Trump is working with Moderna and saying, oh yeah, in January of 2020, when they didn't even know if it was contagious or not. But here's Donald Trump, working with Moderna in January of 2020, and pushing a vaccine at that point when no one really knows what's going on, supposedly, right? and he's wanting to lock the borders down and everything. And then I play that clip. I'm like, yeah, Trump's the one that wants to give us freedom, right? Here he is promoting the vaccine. Here he is talking about a lockdown before anyone else wanted a lockdown. And I go play it. I'm like, oh, but the Democrats want a lockdown, right? And I start playing that, and it's like, no, it's just a cold, and it's no, we shouldn't lock down. Come out to Mardi Gras. See, they don't want that clip to be shown. Someone wants that clip gone from the internet because you watch that clip and it has Nancy Pelosi telling, and all these other Democrats saying, no, come to Mardi Gras. It's great. Yeah, that COVID, it's just a cold. Come to Mardi Gras. It's no big deal. It can't be transmitted like that. It's not that bad. All these Democrats saying that, right? Like it's about maybe what is it, a montage? It's about 2 or 3 minutes long, and you can see about 20 or 30 Democrats, saying, "Oh, this isn't that big of a deal." And then I would play what Trump is saying during the same period of time. A total opposite, you would, I'm like, people's world would be upside down. It's like, oh, what's going on with my world? Why is Donald Trump promoting a vaccine in January of 2020? Why is he signing a Vaccine Modernation Act in November of 2019? What does Donald Trump know, right? Because he's the one signing the Vaccine Modernation Act. And it's almost like, man, it's almost like you knew a virus was coming. And like you knew you were going to be promoting or pushing this warp speed stuff. And it's like, well, and it's really weird because you never see Alex Jones bringing this up, right? Why not? You would think this should be a hot topic, right? Because isn't Alex Jones on your side? Well, I got clips of Alex Jones promoting the Moderna vaccine. I would play him, but I don't want this video to get banned. Um, but I have clips of Alex Jones saying that the Moderna vaccine is the safe vaccine that Donald Trump is working on. And he's trying to beat Bill Gates, and he's trying to get he's like, Bill Gates has got this vaccine that's not safe. And I'm paraphrasing the words. He's got this one that's not safe, but Donald Trump, he's got this one that's gonna be safer. And I know it's a dangerous game we're playing here with this vaccine, but and something to that effect. And it's crazy. And then there's all those news articles where Donald Trump is meeting with Bill Gates as soon as he gets elected, talking about like in 2017 he meets with Bill Gates, and people I don't know why people don't bring this up. I mean, who's doing this on their show where you're bringing up that what about that in those news articles where Donald Trump is talking to Bill Gates about a universal vaccine, and he's meeting him, and Donald Trump makes it sound like he thinks it's kind of a good idea. Or what about that one clip where he's sitting there in that primary, that 2015 primary, and they go, and one of the people, so it's a primary of, with uh Ben Carson, who's that black neurosurgeon, and he's still in the primary. And there's a couple other Republicans, and and so the moderator asked them a question. It's like about vaccines, and Donald Trump says, I like to see smaller doses over a longer period of time. And then you think years later. So that's the 2015 primary. Years later, what do we see? In 2020, they create this vaccine that you have to keep getting over and over and over again. See, remember, he said, I want a vaccine, but I want vaccines, but I want smaller doses over a longer period of time. And think booster, right? never-ending booster shots. See, it's like it was all designed. And there's this clip. If you remember when Hillary Clinton was running against Donald Trump, and she's wearing that coat, that winter coat, and people were like, "Man, that looks crazy," right? It's like, but then there's this one time she gives a speech, and she's like, "Every time I think about Donald Trump, I get allergic." You get allergic, you're coughing. Every time you think about Donald Trump and you're sitting there coughing. And then now let's fast forward it 4 years later. Oh, Donald Trump and COVID, connected, right? It's like I almost wondered if that was like an inside joke, like every time I think about Trump, I get allergic. Right? I remember her saying that, man. I still got that clip. I'll play that sometime soon because I plan on doing a show. I want to do a show before the election because I want people to remember this stuff. Man, I'll play all these clips. I'll go find them, play these clips, and be like, "Yep, here you guys go again. Can't learn, and don't want to learn. That's the thing. Don't even want to learn. I think that's the real crime. It's like it's one thing if someone just can't learn, like me. I just can't, do like in 10 seconds. You could never expect me to go 2,647,000 divided by 5.67 divided by 2 times 11,457 equals, right? It's like, can you do that off the top of your head, right? Can you get that down into, no, I can't do that, right? So there's one thing where you just can't learn something. And then there's just a problem with you just don't want to do it. There's just something inside of you where you just refuse to do it. And I just think that's these people where it's like they just don't care about the truth. They don't want to know the truth. It's like, and a lot of them don't even want to put in the time. They don't even want to donate $1, right? And part of this is my fault. Some of my listeners are probably like, "Well, Chris, I didn't even know you had a donation." So I know part of that's my fault. My fault. Um, I didn't push it too hard because I had that one person that just spazzed out, and then it's just like I'm in such a rush to do every single show. Like that's on my list of things I gotta get done before a show. That's on the low totem pole. Because obviously there's no way I'm doing this for money. There's a lot of other ways. If I shut down my YouTube channel, I actually would make a lot of money just by shutting it down. Just getting rid of all my videos, I'd make money. If I just stopped talking on YouTube, I can make so much more money because it's actually eliminating a lot of options for me. But I thought, it's like, okay, Chris, you sacrificed this much. Surely at some point you got to catch a break. You got to figure something out. Um, and it's like, I just don't know if people genuinely want the truth for the most part. And but I'm like, but I do keep going, well, maybe I'm not educated enough. I haven't done enough yet. And I'm just getting to a point where it's like, no, there's just something really, really wrong with these people. And I do get to the point where I do think about taking my channels down and just quitting and just erasing everything because I could make money just by doing that. Because it would open up so many other avenues for me. But I'm just like, well, but it gets to a point where you're like, well, I did sacrifice this much. I have turned down about a few $100,000 worth of opportunities because I keep thinking something might change. Someone's got to talk about this information. Certainly, like, give people 4 years, Chris. Give people 10 years. Surely, something will wake them up. And it's like they never get woken up. Like, I used to run this website called The Protestant View, and I ran this about 20 years ago. And at the time, they didn't have all these, like, they didn't have like AdSense. They didn't have, you know, places where it made donating convenient, right? It was like everything was kind of a pain. It wasn't like it is right now, where it's real easy for people to donate and things like that. And a lot of people, they didn't even like, they still, this is 20 years ago, so some people were still kind of skeptical about everything online, so they didn't like giving their credit cards online and stuff like that anyway. And but I did manage to get have this website, but at the time, you gotta think, I'm working 80 hours a week. I'm not getting any support. I'm working almost 90 hours a week, and I try to do this website on my free time. And I basically just wanted to help other people out, because I was good at promoting things. I wasn't so good at, like, like, I just didn't have the patience to read a book, and finish it. I read a little pieces, but I did know enough out of reading pieces of books to know who knew what, and get these people on my show, or promote their websites and things like that. And I got up to 1 million views. But as I try to reach out and collaborate with people, I always kind of found that they would shoot themselves in the foot almost on purpose, and I just couldn't work with them. It's like, okay, this one person, they were really stuck on wanting to promote Eric Phelps, and Eric Phelps, while he talks about the Vatican and he talks about all these conspiracies and stuff going on, Eric Phelps promotes, like, he's pretty racist. And I was like, the last thing I need when someone's trying to create the image of a Catholic hating bigot, right? Like, because people, they were, even 20 years ago, they're very sensitive about, like, when I started talking about the Catholic Church, like, there's still very few people that talk about it. But especially like 20 years ago, I talk about it and people are like, man, you sound like a bigot. And they start getting nervous and stuff around. And I'm like, no. I said, it's more bigoted. I said, you want to know what a bigot is? I said, why is it that our Supreme Court has got nothing but Catholics? I'm not the one being bigoted, because that's not an accident, because this country was founded by Protestants. So if this country was founded by Protestants, why isn't there at least one Protestant on the Supreme Court? Right? So I'm not the one being bigoted by bringing this stuff up, bringing the fact that there's nothing but Catholics on it, bringing the fact that during 9/11, everyone that was involved looks like a Roman Catholic. Like, it looks like if you think this was an inside job, that everyone in a position to cover it up was also Roman Catholic or Catholic schooled. I said, it's not my fault that they put themselves in that position, because someone during the hiring process said, hey, I'm just gonna hire this Catholic, right? Like, even if you want to say let's pretend like there was no conspiracy going on with the Catholic Church, and they still they still hired nothing but Catholics, right? So they still have this outlook like, okay, maybe there isn't no conspiracy, but the only people I have to happen to blame happen to be Catholic and happen to be in that position. And you put yourselves in that position by being so bigoted in your hiring process. So you're the ones who are the bigots, not me for bringing it up. Why don't you hire a few Protestants? You know, I mean, like, not a single one. Like, really, there's not a single Protestant that's capable of being on the Supreme Court. And in fact, a lot of these processes, when you notice, they'll be like, oh, so these three judges, Trump is thinking about picking from one of these three judges as he appoints his next Supreme Court judge pick. All three are Roman Catholic. It's like, why wasn't there a Protestant? Really? I guess it's like the Protestants are very incompetent and very stupid, and maybe they are, because I don't. What's happening to our country? Where are the other voices at? So maybe, I mean, maybe they really are that stupid. Yes, maybe the Catholic Church is evil, but maybe also Protestants are pretty stupid and pretty incompetent, because they're just going along with it. And you got to think they don't really think, right? You say sola scriptura, but yet they're believing in things that came from stuff Catholics taught, like your Sunday sacredness stuff. There's no, you can look at the Bible. Paul wasn't going to church on a Sunday. You can say Sabbath's done away with and all this other nonsense you want to say, but the one thing you can't say is Paul wasn't going to church on Sunday in the Bible. He never did such a thing. So I'm like, so why are we keeping it? And if you go all the way back, it was instituted by the Roman Catholic Church. It all started with Bishop Anicetus, and Polycarp tried to call him out over this. He's like, and this is why Orthodox won't debate me. Because I've had some that were talking to me in a comment section going, hey Chris, won't we debate? I'm like, oh, that would sound great. I would love to finally debate one of you. And next thing I know, I'm bringing up Polycarp, right? And suddenly he doesn't want to get into a debate with me anymore. Because so here's the whole story. Polycarp, is like the Bishop Anicetus is trying to tell Polycarp that he should celebrate Easter Sunday and not keep the Jewish Passover. Polycarp is like, well, I learned this from John the Apostle. And and then Anicetus says, well, Paul and Peter gave me this authority. And Polycarp says, well, where did you get this authority from? Well, Bishop Anicetus never could prove it. It's like you never could. We don't see one writing of Paul or Peter. Definitely not Paul. Paul, we can clearly see that he's keeping Sabbath and Feast of Unleavened Bread and all that. So we definitely don't see Paul even doing this in the Bible. But yet Bishop Anicetus is claiming that Paul and Peter gave him the permission to do all this, and we just don't see it, right? And Polycarp never did it. And Polycarp goes, well, you never showed me the proof, so I'm just going to keep him Passover. Like, he was willing to discuss it. Anicetus never could produce it. But the thing is, we do see the things that Polycarp is adhering to. We see Paul keeping the Feast of Unleavened Bread. We see that it looks like it was never done away with in the Bible. Jesus is our Passover lamb, right? He's like called the Passover lamb. He's called the Lamb of God. Why is the Lamb of God important? It's surely not important because of Sunday. It's important because of the Passover. And so when Polycarp is keeping the Passover, he's like, hey, this is in honor of God, in honor of Jesus, and Jesus is our Passover lamb. And I learned this from the disciples, and I learned this from the apostles. So we see that. And so it's like, and then some people are like, well, Chris, but there's not explicit proof that Polycarp kept Sabbath. But the only reason why you would even observe Sunday is if you were willing to change Passover to Easter Sunday. Like, you're not going to keep Sunday. Like, why? What's the purpose? Like, there's never any holy meaning to Sunday in the Bible, in the entire Bible. Like, they never make it any holy. Like, there's just no religious significance to it. So and Jesus himself said he's the Lord of the Sabbath. And when you read John 1, John chapter 1, it says through him were all things created. And you read Genesis chapter 2, that must mean he's the one who's creating the Sabbath day. So Jesus created the Sabbath day, and he's the one who made it holy. And the Bible always talks about keeping things in God's appointed time. Well, guess who God is? Jesus is God, right? So if Jesus is God, because it says in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Now I know there's a few people that watch my videos that, don't believe in the Trinity. And I'm willing to have that discussion. And I do have some nuances to my view of the Trinity, but I don't want to get into all that discussion right now because these are nuanced words. And I feel like all I'm doing is actually agreeing with most people about most things. And then there's these little nuanced words and we're fighting over it. And I just don't feel like fighting over nuances. So, in general, because most people can, keep Trinity and believe Trinity, I can work with that. And I'd rather just work with that than fight people with nuances. So don't hate me just because they say that, oh, no, he believes in the Trinity, or, oh, no, he doesn't believe in the Trinity. I don't want to even get into that. And so I just do the general language, okay? But we know Jesus. If he creates, I'm just going by the basic wording of John, that it says he was the Word, and through the Word was all things created. Through him was all things created. So that means he must have created everything in Genesis, right? So if he created everything, created the world, that means he created the Sabbath. He's the one who blessed it. He's the one who gave everything its appointed time. And the Bible constantly tells us to keep things in there and their appointed time. Not in the times we appoint things to be in. It says to keep these things that God created in their appointed times. So I'm not going to sit there and suddenly change a day or say it's done away with, and I'm not going to replace it. And so it doesn't make any sense to me if you're going to be Polycarp and you're going to reject changing something, because most people would, there's some people that claim that it's no big deal to keep any of these Jewish holidays, right? So I guess you would throw Passover into there as well. So if you guys think that's kind of like a lesser deal than a Ten Commandment, right? Which the Sabbath is. If you think that's like a lesser deal, if Polycarp is sitting there like, nah, I'm not gonna do this whole Sunday Easter thing. I'm just gonna keep doing the Passover. Well, if you're going to keep doing the Passover, then it stands to reason you're not going to change to Sunday either, because the reason to change to Sunday is because of the whole ideology behind changing Passover to Easter Sunday. So that makes sense to me that you're going to first change that, and then you're going to start keeping Sunday instead once you change. So that's why and the logic is not making sense to me when someone weakly tries to argue that Polycarp kept Passover, but yet he kept Sunday. I just don't see it. I don't even see any proof of it, and it doesn't even make logical sense to me. Because one of the things that got me to start keeping Sabbath myself was when I started hearing about Wednesday crucifixion and things like that. And I was like, once I started realizing that, how, like, why they even started doing the whole Easter Sunday. I mean, I remember being a kid, like, why do I go to church on Sunday? The first thing that was always brought up, the Passover and Easter. And so from the Passover, well, if the Passover got changed to Easter Sunday, then, oh, now I see why we go to church on Sunday, Grandma. Okay. I grow up though, and I'm like, well, now I no, this is just some Roman bishop that changed this. So I had a bigger point to make, but I'd kind of lost it. I think I'm getting a little thirsty, and this this new studio I got's pretty hot. There is no air conditioning in it. Ah, my friend Mark. Hey, what does it profit a man if he gains the whole world yet loses his soul? What man can give in exchange for his soul? Oh, I missed a couple of comments. Say Kamala did not get any dim primary votes, I hear. Yes, that's the thing too. Oh man. Yes, Kamala. I mean, it's like she's. I had a friend. Um, and oh yeah, he's actually the one who brought the lawsuit against the Democrat Party, because he was a Democrat. Now I don't know what he is. I think he's just like really disgusted as all he is now. He's just disgusted with the whole thing. Probably would lean more towards Republican, maybe, but I think even then he's sitting there like, what is this crap? So I don't think, because he's right now he's probably more libertarian, but he's not in the Libertarian Party. And I don't think he would. I don't think he's ever voted Libertarian. Um, but Jared Beck, he brought up this lawsuit called the DNC fraud lawsuit, and he got the Democrat primary to basically admit in court that they rigged their elections, but the way they got out of it was they claimed they had the right to rig their own elections, and he got them to admit that. So that there's a win right there, but it's like, all these like Democrats that sit there and vote for these people, they completely overlook that. In fact, I should get Jared Beck on my show sometime. That would be probably an interesting show, get him on before the election, because I like him because he knows a lot about all this junk that's been going on. And he's actually, out of all the people on Twitter, if I or X, I guess it's called X now. I haven't been on it since they banned me, because it was just it it kind of really bothered me, to because I felt like that was like a crippling thing to my hopes of running for office. Um, was when they banned my account. But anyway, um, Jared Beck on Twitter. If I was ever to go look on Twitter again, he'd be the first person I go read, because he's always got like interesting things to say. Um, but yeah, he also wrote a book called "Whatever Happened to Bernie Sanders," and where he just kind of goes into the whole thing. He's real disgusted because when he's sitting there trying to do this DNC fraud lawsuit, guess what Bernie Sanders did for him? Oh, you'll never guess. Well, some of you will guess if you're watching my show. Nothing. Bernie Sanders did absolutely nothing for the guy. Wouldn't I don't think brought him up one time. I don't even know if Jared's name ever crossed Bernie's Sanders' mouth in a public speech or anything. You would think it would come up. You would think if this guy's legit and that he's really trying to like fix things, but Bernie Sanders isn't, because he would not. You would think he'd be like, hey, Jared Beck, hey guys, my fan base, look at what Jared Beck's doing and look what he proved. Because Bernie Sanders has got a very large voice, and Jared Beck's got a small voice. He's just a lawyer that's bringing up a lawsuit. Bernie Sanders, though, dude, he's like the rock star of the Democrat Party, right? And I'm pretty sure he knew that Jared Beck brought up a lawsuit. And I'm pretty sure he knows Jared Beck got them to admit in court that they basically believe they got the right to rig their elections. So you would think Bernie Sanders would be like, Jared, come on, man, I'm going to make sure everyone knows you. You got great ideas about how to fix this, and we're going to pressure the Democrat Party to fix this. Bernie Sanders, though, nope. Nope. In fact, not only is Bernie Sanders going to keep his mouth shut, but he's going to promote Trump's vaccine and Trump's lockdown. And he's going to wear a mask and, show everyone what a good little Trump supporter he is, because he just loves everything Trump's doing. So Bernie Sanders is going to get Trump's vaccine, tell everyone to go get his vaccine too, and just, just go along with the thing. Right? It's like so many people, delusional minds. And it's like, and I try to bring this up to my Democrat friends, and it's like, oh, my mind can't handle it. Like before I even started doing these YouTube shows, these past, well, see, when I had kids, that pretty much was like it was the end of my club life, right? And when I was a club, I wasn't one of these like grimy clubbers. Like I wanted to take and have like this. I liked playing good music and DJing and making it sound like, something uplifting for your heart. So later, these people, they're not in this grimy mindset, right? Because, some of these clubs can be like meat markets. I wanted to put people in more of a good spiritual space and more uplifting, and have like songs that, were like better for the heart and everything, right? And that way, if I brought up like, I don't know, the Bible, for instance, at a nightclub, because that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to, try to, have deep conversations with people, and then try to somehow, lead them to Christ, right? So, I mean, that was my goal behind DJing. And also, I wanted to work with young kids, because it's like, I know kids like to have places to go. Kids don't want to just sit there and like, be bored all day. So I wanted to start like a all ages club. That was one of my goals in life, and give these kids a place to go that wasn't a meat market, because it's like what happens is, these, you got young girls that don't have the best environments, poor. And then it's like, if they don't have like a dad around or anything, it's like, they're still going to go out. They're still going to go. But, I wanted to create a safer environment, at least for people, right? A safer environment for young people, and an environment that kind of, pushed them in a better direction, and try to set up things, for these people. Because they can either go to my kind of club that I wanted to create, or they can go to the slimy clubs, right? That kids are going to go to anyway. Because the good option, the better option doesn't exist. They're going to go to the only option, which is the normal worldly club, right? Some people don't think that was a horrible ideal of mine. I don't think it was that horrible. But anyway, so I know all these like, but because I'm in the music scene, most of the people I know, who are running most of the clubs, most of them are, oh, well, actually, half the owners were kind of conservative. But all the musicians and everybody else, those are like the majority of Democrats. So I had this large amount of Democrat people I knew, and and some of them even worked on Bernie Sanders' campaign and stuff, and they were kind of high up in there. And it's like, but if I try to bring up certain things, and point out like, hey, you guys are taking Trump's vaccine. Oh, they just go nuts, man. That's why I lost so many friends just pointing out that simple little thing. Hey, don't you know that Trump worked on this? I didn't know you like Trump now. It's like, oh, I don't like Trump. Well, why do you want his vaccine? It's like, it's not his vaccine. So and I'm like, no, I said it really is his vaccine. Look, I got the Moderna chart right here. See, he's working with Moderna on January 13th of 2020. And I try to play him that clip you see up here that's now no longer existing. I would play them this clip, and their brains were just like, looked like they were melting, like they couldn't believe what was happening. It's like, wait, Nancy Pelosi is saying that Corona's just a common cold, and that it's no big deal, and oh, the uh, Blasio is just saying it's no big deal. And wait, Trump, and I play him a clip of Trump, and they'd be like, wait, Trump making vaccine in January, Trump trying to lock us down earlier, Democrats. Chris, what's going on here? And they start to cry. Some of them cry a little bit, but then they get mad and hateful and all this other stuff, and it's like, dude, this is real stuff on the screen. Like, I'm not making this up. I don't even have time to make it up. And playing this for, and their minds are just blown. It's almost like, it's almost like all you did was just listen to what you were fed, and you didn't even bother to think. And it's like a lot of them are like, well, Chris, I didn't even know there was a coronavirus until March was almost over and they were locking us down. It's like they were just, because all they were doing was playing video games or so wrapped up in their entertainment or their club or whatever. It's like, you guys never bothered to think about what was going on in China in December when they were supposedly dropping over and everything, because I try to share that with them. I remember some of the same ones. This is what's weird to me too. So I got all these Democrat friends, and they see my post on Facebook and on Twitter, and I post that, oh, hey guys, I think we should maybe think about locking the border down, or stopping travel too, right? And there's like, oh, you're just a xenophobe like Trump. Ah! I'm like, no, dude, look, here's this clip of people dropping dead in China. Now, this is in December of 2019, right? And I'm finding these clips, right? And no one's talking about it. Like, almost everyone's like ignoring that this is going on. Like, it's almost like the government didn't want us to do it. So I'm sitting here thinking, oh, I'm finding something that the government doesn't want people to know, right? And so I'm showing people this, going, look, man, no, maybe Trump should stop the travel, because it looks like there's something crazy going on in China, and I don't want that coming here. Like, I didn't like that looked freaky. Like, when I'm first seeing these clips, in 2019, I don't know, like, because so much of the news is acting like they don't want people to hear it, right? And I'm hearing these stories about people being burned in incinerators. And keep in mind, this is in December of 2019. No one was talking about Corona. No one even knew what was going on. No one had any idea anything like this was going on. Most people, it was just a tiny fragment of people I was talking to and a couple other people were talking to. And when we were trying to pass out these clips, because I was like, what is this? And I would show this to my Democrat friends, and they're like, "Oh no, you're just trying to be a xenophobe. You just want to lock it down because you don't want immigration." Rawr. And they're getting so mad at me, and it's like, and some of them even quit being my friend. And some of those same people, about a couple months later, are then like, I'm watching their post because I was so over being their friend or having anything to do with them. But I go, because just out of curiosity, I go on their Facebook page in March. Suddenly, oh, they're saying, man, and the same people are saying Trump didn't lock down soon enough. The same people are now saying, oh, this is a scary virus. Even though I showed them those clips, they were so mad at me and were like calling me a xenophobe and all this other stuff. Same people, man, same crappy people. This is just what sheep they are, and what a mess their little minds are. Same people 2 months later are yelling at, man, we should not open up until everyone gets the vaccine, and Trump didn't lock down soon enough, and they're mad, and they're echoing all the same things you hear all the Democrats say on the news. It's almost like their brains don't work. It just absorbs whatever waves are coming through the TV. It's just like, oh, now I'm supposed to believe this. Now suddenly I do believe it. It's like, And it's like, and there's almost like it's unaware, they're not even aware of it. It's like, oh no, this is, I know, it's almost like I've always believed this. And what do you mean I once cussed you out because you showed me pictures of people dying in China and back in December of 2019? It's like, and no apology, no apology. And it's like nothing, man. It's and it's just like they're like the minds are so gone. And I can't help but even see some of this with Trump people. It's like, no, Trump was trying to lock us down, man. Now, I will say, man, when it got to, I wasn't one of these people that kept saying we should get locked down. I was just saying that back in 2019 of December, just lock the border down. So just stop people from coming over here. That's all I said because of that. What I saw in there, because I didn't know what it was, right? When it got to be January, I was like, nope, they waited too long. And then I was like, I saw that Rudy Gobert, that basketball player. And when they announced that he came down with it, I was like, oh no, I know what's happening now. They either wanted this virus to come here or there's something weird going on, because it's like they waited way too long. There's no point in it now. This thing's done been going around. You got people coming in and out of here. This thing's done spread all over the world. There's no use of locking down. But I, for some reason they still want to lock us down, and it doesn't make sense to do it now. And sure enough, 2 weeks later, we're being locked down. And I saw it coming, and I couldn't believe people couldn't see it coming. But I remember that whole timeline and just sitting there. And then, like, everything I was posting on Twitter, and it's almost like, oh no, Chris, you didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, I sure did say something. I'm not losing my mind. I did say something. And that's what kind of bothers me about losing all my channels, because it's like you kind of lose all your proof that you've been saying things. But I know that timeline better. I should find all this information faster than anyone. No one probably even hardly knows about this existing, that this app montage ever existed. No one knows, hardly. Do you ever hear anyone bring it up? Like, hey, let me play this clip of all these Democrats that didn't want to lock down. Has anyone played that on any show? No. Surprising, man. So it's like, what? I mean, who are these so-called truthers out there running these channels and getting all this support? That's why it's like I don't think much of most of these people, or this whole world, or this country, or anything. It's like, because it's like, why did you guys keep supporting all these other people that are like so far behind in all this knowledge, right? Like, okay, maybe I was the first person to start really playing this over and over again on my show, all right, and playing all the clips of Trump. How come none of these other people ever did it? Because they don't want to. They don't want to. I don't know, man. It's like they want to control some kind of narrative or something. I mean, really, Alex Jones should have played this stuff. Why doesn't he keep bringing that up? But Alex Jones was too busy hyping up Trump, saying, "Oh, he's working on a safe vaccine." So you would just think, that here we got the Pope, and this is a Catholic publication, all right? See the crux taking the Catholic polls. And they aren't the only ones that said this. There was plenty of Catholic websites, and they were basically bragging about this whole thing, bragging that they're the first to offer punishments and rewards, like it's a good thing, right? Because they did it for smallpox. 200 years ago, the first ones that started having punishments and rewards and pushing governments to do it. So if they're the first ones to start doing this stuff, why are the Seventh-day Adventists going right along with it? Yeah, I mean, you would just like, how is it that some little guy that's way too busy, it fell upon my shoulders to bring up this information when you got an entire church with 20 million people of it, all supposedly supposed to be God's messengers, and the last, and being the only true remnant church and last day, and you got your own personal prophet that gave you special revelation that no one else on the whole earth has, and you're all the time talking about Jesuits, Catholics, Antichrist, 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 and none of you, to my knowledge, has brought this up. And none of you have brought this up and called your own church out at the same time for going along with it. And I mean, like, just like the Seventh-day Adventists, I think so many people on this whole planet, definitely in America, at least in America, definitely minds just gone in the same way as Seventh-day Adventists' brains are gone, and just cultish mind, and how they just like compartmentalize things to just like, I'm gonna make it okay that my church just went on ahead and supported this. It's like, I mean, just insanity. I'm gonna bring that up because it was at the Shiloh. I know it was like the Shiloh church in Florida, Shiloh, Florida. Maybe I should put conference, because this was so shocking. I mean, it wasn't shocking. Yeah, here we go. I love bringing this up. See, Shiloh Seventh-day Adventist Church holds vaccination clinic on their worship day. So of all days, you're going to promote this Pope stuff and you're going to do it on your worship day, the Sabbath, because they can't mess the Sabbath up enough. They just love desecrating this day. Hey, we're already pushing a false prophet that sits in the temple, that sits in the place of God, claiming her words are the words of God. Why not push a Jesuit injection that was rushed through at warp speed by a Jesuit president on the same day, on our worship day? Our worship day, which you must be worshiping Satan on that day, right? Because if that's your worship day and you're promoting all these lies on this day, your so-called worship day must be worshiping Satan by breaking the commandments of God. So you're like, I'm going to worship Satan that day because I'm going to make sure I defile the Sabbath. I'm going to make sure the Sabbath is not a holy day. So you're actually worse than every church on earth because you acknowledge that you should keep the Sabbath. See, some of these other churches, they're you can kind of maybe give them some allowance, right? Like, I keep Sabbath, but I can understand, like, I grew up in a Sunday church. I know how this all works, right? Where it's like you're told that, Jesus rose on Sunday, right? When I think he rose on Sabbath, to be honest, when I really study the text, the Greek text and everything. But you're told he rose on Sunday, and Sunday's created like this like special holy day, and you're told in the Bible that, oh no, the apostles were meeting on Sunday, because I'm a kid, I don't know this stuff. And when I grow up as an adult, because I've been told so much of this when I was a kid, when I'm reading those same passages, I'm thinking I'm seeing these things in there that aren't really in there, you know. And so even for a while as an adult, it took me a while to see those passages and go, wait, this isn't even in there, right? But so I can understand how someone can actually love God and accidentally be breaking the Sabbath or something, right? And but when you're someone that goes, oh no, 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 we should be keeping the commandments. The Sabbath should be a holy day. And then you're going to promote a false prophet, and she lied, right? And not only that, now you're going to promote the Pope's medicine on your worship day. So you're promoting another lie because you called the Pope the Antichrist. So now you're promoting the Antichrist's agenda on your worship day because you're worshiping Satan. That's all I can think of. If that's your worship day, you're worshiping Satan by breaking the Sabbath. Because I mean, to intentionally do this, because you're sitting there having your so-called health experts walk in there and say, hey guys, you know what, this is safer than coffee, this is safer than tea, because you can get kicked out of a Seventh-day Adventist church if you're a preacher and you're drinking coffee and tea, because those are big no-nos. But hey, shooting a genetically modified injection that a Jesuit president rushed out at warp speed that barely got tested, perfectly fine by them. Go ahead, shoot that genetically modified organism up into your arm, right? That is totally fine with them. But drinking tea from a plant that grew out of the ground, that God even tells you that He gave all herbs, right? So as far as I'm concerned, if you wanted to make marijuana tea, you could do that because the Bible says all herbs, right? So you want to drink any kind of plant, dude? As far as I'm concerned, he said he gave you all herbs. But you know what? Like tea, most people can agree tea is okay, right? So if someone's drinking tea or coffee and these came from actual plants that are actually like organic and God created substances, but you're going to forbid someone, even though God gave them permission, you're going to forbid it. But yet a genetically modified organism, which no, I mean, can you even tell me what this thing is? And you're going to just shoot it in your arm. And it's also, keep in mind this, there's no way of knowing if every single mRNA particle is coded perfectly because they use that codon optimization in it, right? So you can tell how much I've researched this because a lot of people don't even know codon optimization when they're talking about this stuff, right? So yeah, so they use a codon optimization process in order to speed up what process is that? Because I'm not a doctor or scientist. I just read a lot of this stuff. They use this codon optimization process to like speed up the coding process, I think it is. And anyway, but when you do this, it also can increase errors in it, right? And so therefore these errors that it's created, it's hard to tell what errors are harmless or not. Like no one knows. You don't even know how many of these errors you're shooting up. And when I went and did research on it, it's like some of these websites will tell you that for COVID it's harmless, but if you go onto the non-COVID websites and you ask and you look up information about it, the non-related mRNA technology, the mRNA technology that's not related to COVID, they'll be like, oh, it is not safe if it's got this many errors in it and blah, 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 and all this. But for some reason, when it's the COVID shot, it's suddenly, oh, it's fine. If it's got that many errors in it, it's fine. Right? But yeah, it's not normally fine. And just a lot of things, man. And it's and you can't even and so it's like what kind of organism do you even call that? Like a man-made created organism? Because I got God says He created things to be after their own kind, and it's like and everything's got its own kingdom and species has its own species, I mean, do you even know what kingdom to put this thing in? This organism, this genetically modified, or is it even a modified organism? I mean, did you modify a previous organism, or is this just some totally different organism? Right? I mean, I'd like to ask those SDA health experts these questions because I want to see before you told your church congregation all this. Can you answer my questions, maybe? I bet you they would not even like to, be on a microphone, videotape recorder going and answering this. Why wouldn't you, though? You're supposed to be this good church. I know you would not dare have you would not dare send your health experts in to lie to your church. And we know you should care about your church. Your health experts should care. So when your health experts came in and talked to your church and told people to take this thing, obviously, I know you saw that Trump was a Jesuit president. You saw that Tony Fauci's a Jesuit. You saw that the Catholic Church is even bragging about wanting to push this thing all over the whole earth. Surely you would go, well, we better really look into it. So I know you really looked into it. So why can't ever get a hold of one of you guys to ever come on my show and just talk to me about it? But you want to run. Like you guys really love to run from that one. Why? Because you don't want to admit what kind of people you really are. Just send me one of your health experts and let me talk to one of them. Let me talk to your top one. Let's see if they can answer my questions. But you had the gall to sit there and send them to you. But you know good and well you couldn't handle answering my questions. And see, that's another thing too, I wanted people to donate so I could actually go and talk to certain people that and make them answer these questions, certain health officials that I had access to at that point, but I just did not have time to go interview them. Alex Jones has time though, and you guys go give him all the money, all the support, and like, oh yeah, oh Chris, you talked bad about Alex Jones. I'm gonna block you. You're kicked out of our group. Okay, did Alex Jones give you all these oh, so you got all these answers from Alex Jones. Can I please go talk to you and hear what you had to say? Oh no, can't do that, can it? Because you just never heard Alex Jones go interview these people and get these questions answered, or make them, or show Alex Jones trying to interview them and show them how they would not talk. You know, oh, because I would have went to this church. I would have been like, this is a perfect place to go. They say they don't like the Jesuits. They should confidently, I just go right in there like, yeah, hey, I'm Chris Lucas. I'm here to talk to you. You guys say this is so safe, and I just want you to answer a few questions. Because I know you're a Seventh-day Adventist medical professionals. If anyone was going to be safe, it would be you guys. So I want to talk to you. See, you would really know what just low people these people really are and what fakes they are. And I think a lot of people just don't like to own up to it. See, me, I mean, I kind of understand that I got things I had to, I had to admit, like, Curse, if you really want the truth, you got to be honest with yourself. And it might be painful. And you might not like it. And you might have to even endure things like working lesser paying jobs and things like that. Oh, well, I'll do it. I'll go get that truth. And these people, it's like, it's like people complain about how a lot of these people in the media and stuff don't have character, but then they don't want to support people that actually do have character. I mean, fine. Maybe you think I got crappy character. Can you please show me the people you're supporting that's got better information and that's got better character. I'd love to see these people, because maybe I would then be like, hey, I don't have to keep doing my videos. These people got better character than me. They got better information they can put out. I actually got way better information to put out. I don't have time to put the information out. I want to see these people that you think are so great. They're putting out better information than me, and I want to see this better information that they're putting out. I want to see these people. And you know what? They don't, they're not here. I keep looking for myself, because I get frustrated with this. And it's like, if I could just quit doing my stuff, I could get better job. If I tear down all my YouTube channels, I would be able to get a good job, a better job. Now, I won't say a great job, a better job, much more cushier job. All I got to do is take down all my videos. If I think I take down all my videos, I think those opportunities are still there. Take them all down, and I think I'd be good. But and so it's not like I don't want to find these people. To be honest, I have spent tons of time. I kind of quit the past 2 years looking for these people, but the first, I'd say from 2001 till 2022, I would go and look all over online and search real hard, man. And it's like, it's hard to find those people. It's like, you got like crap, just like Alex Jones. It's just like one after another, just like Alex Jones. Um, all these other people that just, I think they're just falling short, because even though some of these people got information, what do they ever do? Like, do they ever do anything that can actually shake these people by putting them on the spot? Because I wanted to put certain people on the spot, certain people that matter, like Mike Braun, like my senator now, who's now going to be my governor, unfortunately. I felt like I could have put that dude on the spot, and I could have put a lot of people on the spot where it would have forced their hand. Now, you'd still have a bunch of bad people, but you could still force these bad people sometime if you put them on the spot to do the right thing. But if everyone's going to be so dumb and just like, well, hey, I want to be delusional. And okay, well, if you want to be delusional, it's real easy for that guy to keep getting away with what he's doing. Just like this church, it's full of people that are that just keep letting it. They'll just keep going to the church. They don't care. They don't care that they're breaking Sabbath. They don't care that they're pushing Jesuit injections. It's like, did you guys really not know Fauci was a Jesuit? Like, really? Like, you didn't think like, oh, wait a minute, Fauci's a Jesuit? Like here, Georgetown University, that's a Jesuit university, right? Dr. Fauci reflects on how he has lived out. Oh, look at I love this headline. And this is from a Jesuit. This is Georgetown EDU, right? This is their official website. Look at this. Dr. Fauci reflects on how he has lived out Jesuit values in his career. Yeah. Yeah, those Jesuit values of, what was that? Like Fauci, dogs, experiment. They still got that on here. Remember this? Remember they do that and let those dogs' faces get eaten up slowly by, what was it, fleas or something? I can't remember what bug it was. They do all these like cruel experiments, right? Painful and deadly experiments on dogs, right? So he funded this, right? So this is this guy. See, he's living out his Jesuit values in his career. You guys said it, not me. This is your own. It's your own Jesuit newspaper, right? You should have said, no, he's not. Nope, this is your own newspaper, your own publications. This isn't me. I'm not the one that just said this. I'm the one that pointed out. We know what kind of things Tony Fauci has done. Oh yeah, yeah. This is what it was. Tony Fauci spent almost $500,000 to have beagle puppies bitten to death. What was this? Let's see here. Beaten. Oh yeah, bitten to death by fleas. He spent that much money, right? Well, this is Tim Cast. Tim's not really my friend. I'll take that. That dude. Oh, I don't like Tim Cast. That's that dude. That dude has been sound like a shill ever since I first saw him on YouTube. To be honest, I knew him back. I saw him back when he was had 100 subscribers, if even that. Right? I had a website that got almost 1 million different people, like unique visitor. No, wait a minute. It was 1 million unique visitors a month and 1 million viewers, 1 million views a day at least on my website. Here's Tim Pool. That's his name. Tim Pool. He's got a YouTube. I try to reach out to Tim Pool, and he just ignoring me. And it's like, dude, I'm sitting here just trying to partner with someone because I don't have time to keep my website going. I got 1 million hits coming in. I just want somebody to help me and collaborate with me, right? And here's Tim, like, no, not interested. It's like, okay. Probably didn't like the whole thing about me talking about Jesuits and the Catholic Church, and Tim was like, "No, I don't want to talk about that." It's like, really? And we looked, what is it? Almost 15, 18 years later. I can't remember how long ago it was when Tim was like that. And we go look down here, it's like, oh, well, I was talking about the Jesuits back then in the Catholic Church, and just so happens that the people pulling off one of the most horrific worldwide scams, and here we got the top players all doing it, right? And they're all Roman Catholic and Jesuit. Oh. But good old Tim, it's like, nah, I don't want to talk about it. Okay. And he'll cry about free speech, right? Temple cries like he cares about free speech. But then, you got the Vatican Council for Culture, and you had Chelsea Clinton sitting there saying we should do more to censor people for free speech. And you got all these, like, Catholics just clapping and like top Vatican officials, it's like, but let's not even. Tim doesn't even want to talk about it. Doesn't even want to mention. Okay, maybe you don't think they run the world. You want to at least mention the fact that Chelsea Clinton's at the Vatican Council for Culture, which is the world one of and the Vatican's the world's largest church, and it's meeting with all these global leaders all the time, and all these global leaders are bowing to the Pope and praying with the Pope, even though they're not even Catholic. They might be Muslim and they'll still pray with the Pope and things like that. It's like, so you got and you got religious leaders, all these other people that are being influenced by this man that's saying, hey, he wants to end free speech. He wants the borders open, right? Because the Pope's, people cry about how, what is it? Is it England or something that's being overrun by Muslims? These European countries that get. Okay, well, who was the one wanting to keep the borders open? Well, the Vatican was one to help keep those borders open too. Just like in America, look at the south of the border. 90% Roman Catholic. These countries south of the American border are 90% Roman Catholic. So the Pope wants the American border kept open because that way American can become more Catholic. And we can see, when they come across the border, what happens? Who do they vote for? Most people tell me that those people that come across their border are voting Democrat. And we know since they're coming from countries that are 90% Catholic, and they're coming across our border illegally, and the Catholic Church is helping them come across. And so, the Catholic Church pretty much favors the Democrat Party. And so now, see, now you can see how the two sides work together. Because think about this: if we know the Catholic Church must favor the Democrat Party, because I never see the Pope speak a bad word about the Democrats. Right? You got these like Catholics um, in New York. New York's ran by nothing but Catholics. I mean, whether they're Republican or Democrat, they're always Catholic in New York. Same with Maryland and Rhode Island. And I think Rhode Island had that one Catholic that wanted abortions even post birth, right? So why doesn't the Pope speak out about that? Like, no, Catholics shouldn't do this, and Catholics in government should not be doing. Oh, no, just like, hey, going along with it. Hey, will you keep the border open? Yeah, okay, everything's cool. Doesn't care, right? I mean, the Pope doesn't care. So we know that whole side is with the when it comes to open border, because if the Catholics were conservative, okay, here's one for you, because I know there's some people out there still gritting their teeth and fighting what I'm saying. Here's a good one for you. If Catholics were so conservative and so Republican, right, and they were so much in good values, and the Democrats are such horrible people, why is it that the Democrats want the Catholics to come across the border, right? Because remember, these are 90% Roman Catholic countries that are coming south of the border into America. So if the Democrats did not like Catholics, why is the Democrats wanting the border left open? And if the Catholics didn't like the Democrats, what? I mean, it's like, why are they working so well together? So obviously, we know the Catholic Church is running the Democrat Party. In fact, that's how you lost your Bible from public schools, because in 1841, and it's in this book called Pope or President, written by R.L. Delisser, and he wrote this book in 1856. And on page 244 to 248, and I only remember this because I've talked about this so many times in the past. It talks about who removed the Bible from public schools. And what it was, and think about this now. What is one of the most Democrat states there is? And people would say New York. Okay. So in 1841 in New York, the Catholic Church was talking to politicians, mainly Democrat politicians, saying, "Hey, we'll," and it's mainly like in the primaries too. And it's like, "Hey, we'll make sure you win if you do certain things." So these Democrats made deals with them. And the ones that made deals with them in the primary are the ones that went, because the Democrat Party was kind of like the big party at that point, and today it still is. It's the strongest party. And so what it did was, it was trying to take these, like, make sure it controls, like, the Democrat Party wasn't like a uniparty at that point. It was like it had like a couple of factions in it. But it's like when the Catholic Church started getting involved, started becoming like one party all of a sudden, by getting these certain people in the Democrat Party and into certain positions. And they said, well, one of the things we want you to do is, once we help you win an office, we want you to remove the Bible from public schools. So in 1854, once it started getting enough Catholics in certain positions, they started removing the Bible from public schools. And 39 schools in New York removed the Bible from public schools. And it happened also in other states. I think there was like 13 other states that started removing the Bible from public schools. All because, there were these politicians that were backed by the Catholic Church. And they would also deface history books. So you would see these history books with black lines running through them. And it's reported in this book, right? And you would see these books that that were defaced because they were taking out anything that any kind of bad history about the Roman Catholic Church that our public school books used to say. So there's a couple of things. The Bible used to be the primary reading book. So kids, if you're told that this is like the word of God or something, and you're told that as a child, raise up a child, and they will go and they will go that way. Granted, now people can have they might teach something. You might get afraid of your child learning something that you don't want taught, right? Yeah, but I think it's a lot better. Like, I actually know from the schools I went to, had a Bible been taught in school, I don't, as that it would have it or read in school, it would have done my school, as horrible as it was, a lot of good. But when these kids don't think they're accountable to God, and you grow up in a ghetto-y school, and you're telling them there's no God and no accountability, yeah, that's a dangerous, like, it's horrible, especially when a kid is trying to find self-worth because he's not getting it at home from his dad or parents, and they got cracked out parents and things like that. And these poor kids are coming to school, and then they get picked on at school because oh, their clothes aren't that good, or maybe they're wearing old clothes, all this other stuff. And you don't think like these kids are going to grow up like, oh well, I want to feel like I'm something. I don't want to be ashamed anymore. You don't think that plays a part into these kids getting involved in gangs or doing other things, right? Like, all it does. But if you just had like a Bible or something, and he's like, "Oh, look, I'm teaching morality." Like, you can't just say morality without God when it's like God. It's something real, right? Because it's not coming from another human being. It's coming from someone that all human beings are under. So I think it would have helped. But now you're removing this. Now what happens to society? It goes down. And who's to thank for that? The Catholic Church that removed the Bible, that removed God's word from the schools. And so it's been that church has just destroyed, or I mean, just destroyed everything America's about. Free speech. Vatican Council for Culture wants to get rid of it, right? And think about this. The Pope. Okay, think about North Korea. What do you think that would happen if we could just allow free speech in North Korea? Do you think those people would be in that position for very long? Or at least it would be nice if these people could at least be introduced to those thoughts. But do you think these people should be so controlled where their government tells them everything they can think about, everything they can learn, even the type of haircuts they can have and can't have? And they're controlled about everything they can have, right? Or do you think it would be nice if those people were given free speech so they can have thoughts, so they can maybe hear about the word of God, right? And at least if you're gonna make them slaves, at least let them hear the word of God, right? At least can you at least do that much? And you would think, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Free speech sounds reasonable. But the Catholic Church doesn't want it. You've never heard the Pope, and you've never heard any of these Catholic politicians ever pushing for free speech in North Korea. They don't do that because they don't care about it. Because it's not about doing anything for God. It's not about letting these people have free will to make up their mind. They want to keep them enslaved. They want to keep them dumb. They want to keep them blind. No one's sitting there trying to free these people. It's just something that simple. Why can't Donald Trump ever say that? Donald Trump, why don't you promote free speech in North Korea? You're such a good guy. You never hear these guys promote. Think about that. You never hear these guys promote that. But anyway, my point about the Democrat Party removing the Bible from public schools and the Catholic Church helping them is you look at New York today, ran by mostly Democrats and Roman Catholics. See, that's what that whole place evolved into. Um, and um, so, and this is why I think about the two parties that are basically going on is the Vatican fully took control of the Democrat Party in 18 by probably about 1850s. It was pretty much controlled, and I honestly think that America is very lucky to win that war against the South. Um, and if it wasn't for Russia, I don't think they would have won it, because Russia was the one who stopped the other countries from getting involved, because they threatened to use their fleets if any other country started getting involved in it. So I mean, a lot, and so it's so weird that you got like um all these people thinking that they are are like the Democrat Party somehow a freedom party or liberal, when and then they're hating Russia on top of it. And you think back to it, it's like, well, wait a minute. There wouldn't be freedom for some of these slaves if it wasn't for Russia. It was their fleet. Now this is the party that hates the Russians so bad. And it's like, and I think the Republican Party started out good, and I think they just slowly took it over since they assassinated Abraham Lincoln. And it was 10 Jesuits or 10 Roman Catholics that assassinated, or that was on the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. And John Surratt was found hiding out as one of the Pope's bodyguards. But it was John Surratt's mother that basically would um, house like the people that were plotting the assassination. I actually have a lot of information about that whole thing that no one's ever talked about, but I haven't had a chance to go through it and make it in a presentable form. But yeah, uh, good old Fauci lived out his Jesuit values, and and the Jesuits admit it. Yeah, yeah, he was, because I would not have headlined my article like this if I was like, no, those weren't Jesuit values doing that to dogs and everything. That was not Jesuit values. No, certainly was. And they don't, make no bones about it. They're like, yep, yeah, he sure did. Sure did. That's our boy. Good old Fauci. I would like to play some clips, man, but I'm gonna save that for a show, because, like I said, this show's gonna be pretty I guess safe. I don't know if I feel like getting my channel banned anymore. Might do a Rumble only show, maybe, because I don't even feel like messing with my YouTube like that anymore. I'll just talk about the Bible mainly. I can talk about this because I'm not playing hardly any clips. But there's things like, if I was to play this clip right now, even though all it is me showing Democrats saying this, the words coming out of their mouth trigger something to ban my video. Like, there are certain phrases that they say that if someone was to say them, it would ban you. And I also think they just don't want people to ever see this video. Like, this is something they absolutely hate people seeing. But anyway, so that's my show today. That was, you guys got two good shows. You got the greatest calendar expert of all time, and then you got this, whatever you want to call this show. I need to go to sleep. It's 6 o'clock. Um, hey, the YouTube channel. That's awesome. the YouTube channel would watch my channel, because YouTube channel's got one of the biggest channels. But so every church, including all variations of Orthodox, all had official statements telling their entire congregation it was the moral thing to take the vaccine. They're all part of the beast system. You know what? I to the Orthodox Church's defense, even though I'm pretty mad at most of the Orthodox YouTubers right now, because dude, I honestly can't stand a lot of their personalities, man. You know, when they want to censor speech so quick, and they just hate people for just having the word Protestant in their name, and they're so hateful about it. But I will say, um, yeah, I guess there's a lot of variations of Orthodox that had in their official statements telling their entire congregation it was the moral thing to do to take the vaccine. But there were a few Russian Orthodox saying don't take it, but they got banned off of YouTube. But there was a couple of Orthodox, I think they were Russian Orthodox channels that were telling the truth, but they got banned. Man, I can't think of that one. It's right off the tip of my tongue, and I just can't. I can't remember it. I can find it, man. Let me give a real quick search, because there was one. Because the thing is too, they also talked about the Russia helping out. What was it? Russia helping out America in the Civil War, right? Helping the North out. So it's like Orthodox. Abraham Lincoln. Maybe that would be it. I'm not going to look too much. I don't think it was the Greek Orthodox Church. Because it had like some red symbol, but man, they might have just got banned completely. So I am kind of curious if they did get banned completely. They might have, but I remember them. They you know, to their credit, they talked about it, but I think they were a Russian Orthodox church, and they were talking about their members, how they shouldn't take it, and things like that. That's kind of sad. I think they're probably gone. I'll try it one more way. Maybe American Civil War. Because I'm pretty sure one of those Oh, here it is. Greek Orthodox television. These people right here, they actually did talk about the vaccine, and they weren't going along with this. Can't remember what kind of church they are. Yeah, because they got their original. Okay, so on Odyssey, they got a channel called Greek Orthodox Christian TV. And it's also on Rumble. Those two places, you would probably see their video about COVID and how they were warning people not to take it and things going on. But other than that, yeah, there's probably Probably most of them, I imagine, did go along with the whole agenda because, I mean, heck, dude, most of these people, they'll sit there and they'll defend the Roman Catholic Church after the Catholic Church basically made them eat their own poop, right? I mean, like literally, um, during World War II, and then they're sitting there, and then like, the same bunch of Orthodox will, they'll praise the Catholic Church for being close to being like them, and then just rip Protestants to shreds, and it's like, well, dude, you have those. In fact, those concentration camps ran by the Roman Catholics in Yugoslavia were said to be more cruel than the Nazi ones in Germany. So, I mean, that says a lot because there was a lot of cruelty going on in Nazi Germany, and these were said to be even worse. And then you got the Pope rewarding these people, and it was ran by Catholic clerics. Oh, Mark's still here. 90% of South America is Catholic. They want them to come here to change the demographics. Say YouTube channel says I'm confused just as you are about people's blindness on politics. I don't believe there's any use in voting at all. I, okay, here's the thing. I'm gonna wrap this show up pretty soon, but this is kind of an important point. I believe in trying to do the right thing no matter what. Even if it looks useless, like I still go down and vote. I will still go to the voting booth and I'm still gonna vote for my friend Andrew Horning as a libertarian. He's running as a libertarian for Senate. I'm still gonna vote for him, right? Whether he wins or not, it's not gonna fall on me. I try to do the right thing. This is gonna, if he doesn't win, that falls on everybody else who wanted to continue to be dumb. Because like it might seem like there's no use to it. You can say logically, Chris, it's not gonna win, so you went and you voted, you wasted your time. I'm just gonna do the right thing because this is the system we have. If everyone would do the right thing, the system's built to where if one person's doing the right thing, the country will fall apart. It's not about one person. Everyone. That's why you got to get involved in your communities and everything. But what people do is go, oh, my vote's not going to count, so I'm not going to get involved. And I think it's like, well, no. My problem is I wish I could have got more involved. Should have been doing more, but just you know, I mean, my position, I can't do anymore. It's like I'm stretching myself too thin. But but it, I mean, there's a lot of people with a lot of extra time that they just don't even do anything. And had they just done a little something, we wouldn't even be in this position. This position we're in is because there's people that can do something. There's people that do have money. There's people that do have time, and they don't. It's like they're not doing anything with it. I mean, this is pathetic. When I'm one of the few people doing a show like this, there should be someone that's doing a similar show and doing it 1,000 times better because they should have funds, they should have money, they should have extra time. So why haven't they brought up some of the things I brought up on this show? And I mean, it's 4 years later, and 4 years later, there's information I have that I've never seen anyone bring up. It just boggles my mind. But I mean, as far as voting goes, yeah, I'll still go vote. I'll probably try to run for office again. Um, it just depends. I mean, I want to see. I don't know why I don't have like 100,000 subscribers, to be honest. Because it's like, well, you guys are, all these people are complaining about the world. It's like, and just because it's one thing that bothers you, don't unsubscribe. It's like, just when you find that other person that's going to run for office, then you unsubscribe from me. Then you do it. Don't be doing it because maybe the world's so crappy. Maybe you do think I'm crappy, but maybe this is like, because the world's so crappy, I'm the best choice, and maybe just give me a chance, right? And then when a better choice comes, then you can throw your money at them, or you can throw your time, your views, and all that at them. But dude, for right now, I don't see it. I would love to see it. But yeah. So I get what you're saying, man, because it's like it feels like a waste of time, and I can understand that. But for me, I'm still gonna go through all the motions. It's kind of like if I saw a dam breaking, and let's say a dam was about ready to break, and I know, like, and let's say it's gonna take a 10,000 buckets of water to be collected before, if we want to stop that dam from breaking and killing everyone in a town, right? But let's say I don't see anyone else but me picking up a bucket to go grab one bucket of water, but we need 10,000 people to do it, or else this dam's going to break and it's going to kill everyone. I'm still going to go and walk up there and get my one bucket and do my one piece. Granted, it might seem like a waste of time. It might be like, well, I'm just going to die anyway. And why don't I just stay where I'm at and do what I want, instead of wasting that extra time walking up to that place and walking back with one bucket of water when no one else is going to help. But me personally, I'm just going to be like, well, I wasn't responsible. I tried to do something. So that's kind of how I look at it, because I don't think the system's broke, to be honest. I mean, it's bad just because of the state of everyone in this country, and the state of everyone in the world, and the state everyone wants to just stay in perpetual blindness, and they're numb, they're apathetic. In the Bible, it says in the last, like, talks about, like, in those days, the love of many will wax cold. Well, we're seeing a very apathetic society, where all they care about is their delusion, because their love, it has waxed cold. And it's like, so they don't have this love for God, because they have this love for God. They have this love for people too, and they don't have any of that, because people are created in the image of God. So you would want to help restore those images of God, but you don't. That's not going on. You know, it's like they're very apathetic. It's like, people don't care, if someone's a false prophet or not. Hey man, they're Christian, man, let's just get along. Oh no, it doesn't bother me, man, as long as they say they're a Christian, as long as they say they're a believer, doesn't bother me, man. I just want to get along. I want to get along too. But at the same time, I mean, I'm not going to sit there and go to church and tolerate, nonsense. I'm going to call it out. But, you got a lot of people, it doesn't even bother them. I mean, it doesn't even, like, bother them at all. And I just think people have that same numbness attitude towards God, and then it just gets reflected in the rest of society. I mean, I think I even kind of suffer from it. It's hard to stay psyched up. But anyway, yep. Good night. God bless.